Welcome to the Chop, RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 5, Episode 6. Welcome everybody in the chat. Before we begin, I had to give a friendly disclaimer. YouTube has currently sandboxed the channel since we received a copyright strike for fighting a claim of Midnight in the Library. I don't know if you were familiar with the video, if you've seen it. It was a mashup of reads portrayed as a game. It was kind of a parody thing. And since that happened, basically our videos are not going down anymore when we make community posts. They are not spread around to our subscribers, spread around to new people. So basically we are in a little sandbox. So if you please can give a like to our videos, it will help the YouTube algorithm to spread around and give us a tiny bit of an edge, especially in this kind of times where YouTube is making so many changes and all allegedly have an impact on the visibility of the channels. Last but not least, last week YouTube implemented an ad break for videos that are 8 minutes or more. It used to be only 10 minutes, now it's only 8 minutes. The point is, these ad breaks, they basically interrupt the videos in the middle, and YouTube automatically places them. So there are people already that are saying, oh my god, I have a video of 20 minutes and there are like 5 ad breaks in it. And people saying, okay, I'm just going to disable them completely. And other people saying, well, if you disable them completely, what do you think is going to happen? So it's a little bit of a crazy time. So if you can take the time to give us a like and remember to do that, I will really, really appreciate that. Now, with that said, welcome to the chat. Welcome to all the relatable people out there. We have a lot of relatable people and a new relatable person in the chat. So, welcome, Dr. T. Turner. Here's a new one. So give him a warm welcome. I know you guys in the chat are good people, are nice people, are welcoming people. So don't be a dick. Now that we are starting, what an episode was it, wasn't it? So the moral of this episode, before we begin, is that someone will have to be thrown under the bus. And you know why? Because it's Drag Race, and Drag Race wants a villain. If the villain is not there, a villain will be made, no matter what. And all these girls that you see there, they are all professionals. They all know it. So despite what's happening outside on social media or what you think you are seeing on the screen, don't forget, these people know exactly which kind of game they're playing. So don't blame them for this. Don't blame them. It's just that the circumstances has basically made a villain emerge in Alexis Mateo. So they all have to work with it. They all have to support this kind of narrative, because you know, if someone else is not the villain, then it could be you. And that's the worst thing that can happen when you happen to be on Drag Race. They all know this. They all know what they signed up for. So don't blame the queens for going too hard on Alexis. Okay? It's just that it's part of the game. When you sign the contract, when you go to your psychological evaluation, when you are there filming, and also in the post of the show, when the show actually airs, they all know which kind of game is being playing there. But for this episode, we see this narrative play out over and over and over throughout the episode, throughout the confessionals. All the queens around Alexis, they're all reinforcing this narrative of a possible villain. If you've seen the past stream, you know that could be kind of true, but you know, villain is not a person. Villain is a character. So already portraying a person as a character, something doesn't smell right there. So anyway, we are back in the workroom. India just went home, and the queens are kind of discussing what's going to happen. And Alexa is feeling very ashamed for what's happening because, you know, she's an old style queen. She is a kind of queen that has a certain poise. If you've known her from season 3, you know that she kind of goes with her head high. She's a pageant queen, you know, an old style pageant queen. So the fact that somebody would come out and say something like that, like India did, is very aggravating for a queen like that. She cannot just brush it off and say, okay, you know what, it's the game, it's part of the game, that's what's happening. And that's what we're going to see playing on screen for the whole episode. But there is more about that, and I want to talk about it a moment later after we talk about the lipstick. So the girls pull out the lipstick to check out who voted for who. And basically everybody voted for India. And this is where the show starts getting kind of surreal. You know, there is this thing in the air that doesn't smell quite right. And I cannot help but thinking, what's happening there? What's going on there? Because they're all going on with this narrative then, oh yes, we voted for India because, well, she was in the bottom 4 times. But, you know, these queens have been there. They've been there the whole competition, so they know that India completely slayed the whole thing. Yes, of course, she had a little bit of an up and down, but, you know, I made a big deal of the fact that India completely blew my mind during this season of All Stars. I came in saying she's going to go home first. By episode 3, I was like, my God, she has the smile of a shark and she's murdering everyone. So they've all seen India excelling, and they've all seen the fucked up critique that went on for the first 5 episodes and continued to the 6th episode, because talking about critiques, there is something very interesting that happened, but we're going to talk about it later. So they've all seen India excel in the competition, and they've also seen that the judges came out with a ton of bullshit to put India down, because come on, they couldn't really afford, in a season with Jujubee and Miz Cracker and Shea Coulee and Blair St. Clair, you cannot even have a queen like India excel and reach the top 4. It's not Drag Race. That's not how it's done. So she had to be put down, but they all know that she excelled. Yet here they all say, well, we voted for her because she was in the bottom 4 times. And I want to ask you a question, guys. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Because it looks to me like they are playing the game. They are all smart queens, they are all professional, and they know that they have to play the game. So the reason why they sent India home had to be because she was in the bottom. But do we really think that's the real reason? Because if we talk about reality here, and not reality TV, I'm talking about reality outside there, in the real world, India has a past. She had made comments, she had made claims, she's been very vocal on social media. There has been a lot of issues going around for years. They all know who India is and what she does, despite the fact that she is still a professional, she's still an amazing queen, but she's also a person with her flaws. So I think that they all knew in their heart that whatever was going on with Alexis and India was at best, a misunderstanding. At best. So that, I think, was and this moment is so surreal because they're all going by critique. Oh my God, India was so bad. She was in the bottom. No, that's not the reason. The reason is that you all didn't believe her. That's the reason. But you cannot say it. You can imply it, but you cannot say it. Because you know what's going to happen if you say it? The editors are going to show you a second asshole. That's what's going to happen. So you better play the game. And they all played the game. Nevertheless, it all felt so surreal to me. You know, for a moment, I was completely inside the episode. Then I was completely swooped out. I was in the nirvana. You know, looking around, asking and thinking, what the hell is happening? What's going to happen? Nobody knows. Anyway, after this nice moment, we go immediately back to the main part of the episode. We skip the table talking. There is nothing interesting really going on there. So we have Rue coming back to announce that there is no mini advertisement this season, as usual. As usual, there is no mini advertisement. We go straight to the main challenge. And the main challenge is to create 2 looks. One moment, I'm losing my train of thoughts. That is so unprofessional. Where are my notes? I don't remember what outfits. Oh, there we go. There we go. So, the main challenge is the Becky. That is so unprofessional. I know. You should just change channel right now. Don't think about it. So, we have a country cousin realness. And the queens have to create also a backstory. They will lip sync, ad-lib the backstory. They don't act it live. Whatever. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. And then they have to create a whole outfit. Finally an episode where they showcase their talent for sewing, for creating, for, doing basically the thing that drawn so many of us into this show to begin with, the artistry beyond the face of drag, And these items are really interesting when you see them. It's basically a bunch of trash. So you have umbrellas, you have towels, you have pool supplies, you have all this and of course you have the pit crew. But unfortunately, we don't have much of how can I say, exploitation of the male bodies of the of the pit crew. That's something that doesn't happen anymore, There used to be this time when you would see the pit crew basically portrayed as objects and made fun of as object. And that was a kind of meta commentary, because when you look at the television, it's no matter what you're looking for, you always have half-naked women, you always have this I don't want to say exploitation, but is it, taking advantage of the fact that naked women sell, and this is the background. So this commentary on doing the opposite and doing it with men, it was a great thing. And one of the things that I honestly miss the most, and not only because it's, it's eye candy. Let's be honest. It's eye candy. But, it's also part of the fact that this show used to be so quirky, so stupid, and in a way also so smart, which is exactly where the roots of the drag artistry are. In doing this kind of commentary in a very quirky way and in a very provocative way. Anyway, differently from what used to happen, the queen don't have to run for supplies. We don't get to see them running and scratching each other's and doing whatever they can to grab we skip that part. We go immediately to the part in the workroom where they come in with all this stuff that they grabbed, whatever it is. It's going to be interesting. That's what I'm thinking when I'm watching this. It's going to be interesting. So immediately the queens start working, and you know what happens? Oh my gosh, Becky, you're never going to believe what happens. Miz Cracker was so relatable. Yes. It's another relatable moment from Miz Cracker. She's being so relatable this season. So relatable. I honestly don't know how would I relate to these queens if Miz Cracker didn't show me the way. So we immediately have this moment because Miz Cracker made a mistake. Of course, we are not told what is the mistake. Is there really a mistake there? Cracker? Come on, tell me the truth. Did you really make a mistake? Well, whatever happens, she's made a mistake. And she's mad about it. She makes all this quirky face. Look at me. I am so relatable. My God. I made a mistake, but I'm not going to say what is it. I'll take advantage of this moment to make this quirky face. And it's starting to show. It's every episode. And when it happens once, you say, well, that's so memeable. That's so, it works. But it's every time. It's like every 5 minutes during the show, we have a moment with relatable Cracker and relatable confessionals. And you might ask yourself, how the hell does she do that? How can she be so relatable in every confessional? Well, Cracker is Cracker, so I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, when she knew she was cast, she just sat there, went on YouTube and say, confessionals talking head funny. And then study each and every one of them and created a catalog in his mind to be extra relatable, baby. So after this relatable moment on the floor, we also have this relatable moment on the sewing machine. Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening to the sewing machine? It's so embarrassing. Come on, Cracker, give it up. Give it up already. Nobody is buying it anymore. Tone it down a notch, It's starting to show. And, I think the editors, because the editors, they don't give a shit. If they have to throw somebody under the bus, they will throw somebody under the bus because they have to make a show. That's what they have to do. So you see this freeze frame that you see of this memeable moment of Cracker being mad at the sewing machine. It's not really a relatable moment because she snaps out of character like half a second later. Look.
And we do not need that this late in the game. It's fine.
Oh, that was so relatable, wasn't it? Mrs. G said it was cringy. Yes, it was. It was, but she doesn't realize it. She doesn't realize it. And I don't think many of the viewers do realize this because they don't really keep an eye on this. You know, they watch the show casually and they have like this basic reminder that Cracker is relatable every 10 minutes, but they don't really realize it because they don't count it. But if we count this kind of moments from Cracker, I can assure you we are well over the 2000s. Which kind of human does that? Does it look human to you? Does it look like a person that does things like that so many times? That's a character. She's playing a character. So if you're going to play a character, then come straight to me and be a character and tell me you're a character. Don't tell me that's you. That's not you. You know, we have been. She is not a new queen. She is not like the season 10 queens. She has been years in doing this. She has experience. We have known her on social media. We've seen her show. Is that her? Who is she? Well, we're going to find out pretty soon, won't we? So immediately we find out that India left some letters. Of course, they kind of take advantage of the moment to make it look like, you know, it's this big deal. And you have to give Jujubee some credit because she's the only one who is completely over it. She absolutely doesn't give a fuck. So when she reads this letter to Alexis, because Alexis doesn't want to read India's letter, you know, she's thinking, I don't know, she's probably thinking it's going to be insults, whatever it's going to be. And so Jujubee picks up the letter and goes like, oh yes, Alexis Mateo, you are such a bitch. You are a terrible person. You know. Thank God for Jujubee, you know, to give everybody a little bit of a dose of realness, a little bit, because you know it's still reality, but give me this tiny bit of realness of people having genuine fun, you know, because this is genuine fun. When Jujubee picks up a letter that nobody wants to hear, that Alexei doesn't want to hear, and completely makes it up, that's genuine, that's relatable, you know, that is relatable, not this. This is not relatable. This is cringy. This is relatable. You see, Cracker, I can teach you how to do relatable drag. And then you can teach Asia. Because she's a... Let's not say the word. So, while the queens are working, RuPaul comes in. And you know, whenever RuPaul comes in the workroom to give advice, I'm thinking, oh shit, this is going to go down really bad. And I could have never imagined how bad it was going to go. Because, you know, RuPaul used to be this character that comes in the workroom and said, oh, you know, Queen, this works, this doesn't work, you should do this, you should do that. If this is you, then you should try to be you because this and this and this reason. But if you don't want to be you and want to camp up a character, you have to do it this way, and this way. She used to give actual advice. What Ru does today is pushing storylines and basically producing the show, because she is a producer after all, and she has to produce the show. And if you can produce it in real time while interacting with the queen, then even better. So she immediately goes to Alexis Mateo and she starts with this. She doesn't go like, okay, what are you going to do? No. She goes with something like, well, you know, Alexis, during the last lip sync, you kind of looked like shit. Why was that you looked like shit, Alexis? You know? I mean, look at Alexis. She was shook. She was absolutely shook. She was like, I might be going home and I might appear as a liar. And I am over 40 years old. I gained weight and everybody can see that. I am not as relevant as many of the other young queens, and I'm going to be portrayed as a villain, be sent home by my drag daughter, who is more famous than me, because that's the reality, you know. And even though Alexis goes with it with a really empathic way, she's really empathic. You cannot see a shred of jealousy to a drag daughter, which is really commendable. I mean, in an age when everybody is passive aggressive and attacking each other and smiling on the surface while basically clawing their way behind the scenes, this is really nice of her. So you can really see the desperation in her face during the last lip sync. And of course, we noticed, so of course the producers noticed. And most of all, RuPaul noticed. So of course, let's bring it up. So RuPaul goes to Alexis and said these exact words. I looked over at you and you'd had this weird look on your face. Because, you know, that is a weird look. I mean, look at her. Look at Alexis. Does that look like a weird look? Because that doesn't look weird to me. That doesn't, you know what looks weird to me? This looks weird to me. This is weird. This is a person with emotions. And her emotions, you can see her in her face. She is scared. She is paralyzed. She is worried. She has a hint of sadness. Look at the corner of her mouth. This is what you read. This is what any normal person reads. But not RuPaul. Not RuPaul. She is not there to be perceptive. She's there to push a storyline, allegedly. So it's a kind of a weird look. You know, and when I look at this, I cannot help but think, how can a person like RuPaul be so little perceptive when she teaches a masterclass on self-expression and authenticity for only $16.67 a month, billed annually? And I made a quick math for you. It's $200 for the whole thing. It's $200 to see this thing that I can only describe as a train wreck from beginning to an end. You have $200. You know what you can do with that? You can book 3 sessions with a therapist. Can you imagine that? A person with a college degree in psychology that in 3 sessions, in 3 hours, can help you real quick to delineate what are the main things that are not working and set a plan for you to work on, either alone or in therapy. Think about that. That's just how perceptive RuPaul is, you know, because you can sell everything. RuPaul is the embodiment of the worst way in which capitalism manifests itself when it comes to entertainment and self-help. That's what RuPaul is. So I will always be grateful for this incredible show. I will always be grateful for so many hours of entertainment, of discussion, we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for this woman. I didn't say this woman. Yes, because in my eyes, she's a real woman. No, just kidding. If it wasn't for this man. But, you know, that doesn't mean that she gets a free pass when she does this kind of shit. Because this is kind of shit. I mean, she sold out for $200. What happened to the fracking? Didn't she get money from that? Allegedly. Allegedly. It's been alleged. So we have this awful moment with Alexis Mateo, and you know, after seeing what happened in the beginning of the episode, where they basically were all talking about, well, I have doubts about Alexis, I am scared of Alexis, I don't know what Alexis is going to do. This ties it all up together. It brings it to a circle immediately, and we are 10 minutes in the episode, and you already know where this is going because of all of this. So this is work from RuPaul. Welcome to the 2020. So next up is Shea Coulee. Oh, sweet Shea Coulee. You are a front runner. So as a front runner, you won't be read to filth. But you will have to give me all your emotions. Now, Alexis. Did I say Alexis? I meant Shea. Now, Shea. Give me all your trauma right now. And you see that this moment is coming because you hear the emotional music playing in the background. So as I'm watching this episode, I hear this emotional music in the background and I'm thinking, oh shit, is this how we're going to go? Couldn't you just insult her like you did with Alexis, you know? At least when you are insulting them, I don't really feel sorry for them because you look like an imbecile. And an insult from an imbecile has absolutely no weight. So couldn't you have at least tried to insult Shay and just keep it at that? No. It's going to be an emotional moment. And you know Shay. Shay is an absolute professional. So somehow she finds the strength to work with it, to open up, share her trauma. And I believe that, you know, these are real issues that are going on with these people. And the fact that they have to... Oh, I cannot snap my finger when I have cream on my hands. Damn, let me remove the cream because I cannot make the sound effect. There we go. You know, to go up like that and say, okay, now give me all your trauma, now cry, tell me things that maybe you haven't even finished working on within you, because it's a show. And this has to be shown. And Shay is a professional, and she does it. But I cannot help but feel sorry for her. And not once because of what happened to her, but twice because of the way this thing seems to be exploited for this kind of emotional porn. You know? And it didn't used to be like this. Or at least it doesn't have to be like this. We can have emotional moment if you have the talent to back it up. If you have the talent to make a show and make things happen organically, you know, that's the mark of the fact that you have actual people who are paid to do an actual job and they know how to do it properly. When you don't have this, then you have this. Then you have this coming in to shake your leg and say, when you were in this competition before, you have experienced some bad news, isn't it? Because, you know, when she was competing, when she was filming season 9, his dad was hospitalized, and it passed. I don't know exactly when it passed, but you know they filmed in the summer, and Shay said that he didn't get to see the season airing. So in the next 5 to 6 months. But you know we have to have this kind of emotional porn. And you know what the worst thing is? That Rue is not even a good actor. Because look at the face that she's doing. She's thinking like, oh my gosh, did I close the car? Or did I leave it open? Is my crack... No. She doesn't have a crack pipe in the car. That's a joke. You know, but she's like, okay, what do I have for the groceries? I have bread, a beer, condoms, of course. She's like thinking all of this thing, and she's not giving a fact, you know. Shakule is there, you know, opening her chest, bringing out her heart for everybody to see and consume. And RuPaul is thinking about, did she close the car? Who knows? Who has the keys? Did I take my pill today? Oh, no, I didn't take my pill today. You know. So let me tell you something. This old joke about the pills, it started in season 4. Because at some point, you know, Willem, she dished out everything about season 4. So not so long after season 4 aired, Willem came out on Reddit and said, well, me and Kenya found a pill on the floor. And of course, we took it. And we felt sleepy for a while. So, you know, paired with the fact that RuPaul looks completely robotic and completely inhuman. It's been speculated that she is on, how are they called? Mood stabilizers. That she's on mood stabilizers, on lithium. So, it's a joke, of course. Nobody knows if she really is on... if she really is on mood stabilizers on lithium. Can you imagine? I already imagine Rue coming to work with a trademark coat, and you have Lithium by Nirvana playing on the background. Oh dear God. She deserves it. She deserves all of this. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. That in front of you, that's a millionaire. That's a millionaire who is keep making million out of the life of people that end up out of this competition with their life completely ruined. And that's not a fair price to pay to want it, for wanting to build a better future for yourself. She is one of the producers. She could come out and say, listen, whatever happened to Brita, it was all fake. We made it up. We made it up because we are making a show. And you, the viewer, should know that this is a show. It's dramatized. We stitch things up because it's entertaining. So don't go out and be a complete idiot to this person because what you saw was not what happened. She has the power to do this, but she doesn't do it. So from my perspective, she can fuck off. Now, next up, to the emotional porn. Look at RuPaul. She is so relatable. She's probably watching Miz Cracker's confessionals. So she moves on after Shay, and you look at Shay. Look at Shay. Those are not crocodile tears. You know, those are not crocodile tears. I'm not saying she's an actress, but I'm saying that when you have a trauma, if you have to bring it up, you will bring it up. And if the trauma is still lingering inside of you, then that's what's going to happen. Look at her eyes. They are blood red. And, you know, RuPaul is like, oh yes, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Thank you for your trauma. Next up is Jujubee. Because, of course, you know, if you are a front runner, you have to give me all your trauma. Give me all your trauma and give me your trauma. I cannot sing that. I cannot sing that. So she goes to Jujubee and says, oh, Jujubee, I know that there are some backstories with your family, that your mother had left the family. I mean, she's not even tactful about this. You know, she basically goes to Jujubee and says, so your mother abandoned you. Now tell me for everybody's to see. Tell me for everybody to see. Share it, Jujubee. We are making a TV show. What we sell is emotions. It's not the artistry of drag. It's not your personality. We sell and package emotion. So, come on. Give me all your trauma. You know? And this moments, you know, I appreciate the sense of intimacy that is created with these characters on television, and based on this sense of intimacy, we create an umbilical cord that continues to go on in real life and makes us connect to these people, connect to their artistry, support them, like them, even giving feedback even when it's not really warranted, you know? So I appreciate that, but there is way and way of doing this. And since we moved to VH1, these keep happening. This stuff keeps happening. It looks like they went mainstream and they said, okay, you know what? Now we are mainstream. We don't need to work that hard anymore. We are earning 5 times the money, allegedly. We are earning 5 times the money, but we can work 20% of what we did before. Because, you know, this kind of things used to happen so organically before. There was no need for someone going around with a fishing rod, throwing it at the different queen and say, you, now you, be relatable. Now you, give me your trauma. Now you, be funny. These are people, RuPaul. These are people. I understand that when you are on mood stabilizers, you don't have a concept of emotion anymore. But you cannot automatically assume that everybody else is on mood stabilizer. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly. You cannot assume that. These are real people. These are real people, and whatever is happening right there, it has real consequences in real life. So nobody went under the bus in real life, but a lot of people are afraid of being thrown under a bus or a train in real life because of the ways this thing is being carried on. That's what's happening. Will you fucking snap out of it and stop trading entertainment with the real life livelihood and security of these people? Because, you know, there are a ton of middle ways that you can choose from. It's not a black or white situation. Look at any other shows. Look how they do it. You just have to put in the effort. I get it. You're almost 60. You are tired. You don't give a shit anymore. You just love the money, allegedly. At least, in my opinion. Well, you know, you have a earpiece. Just hire someone that can do this thing properly. There are a ton of people who graduated from law school, from psychology, from social studies. You know, you have a ton of these people in the film industry as well that had double degrees. Why don't you hire them? This is the question this is the $1 million question that I want to ask RuPaul. Why don't you hire them? Anyway, look at RuPaul. She is so moved that's that's her sad face. She looked like a kid. You know, when you have to make a commercial, for example, and it's a product for kids, and you have to have child actors, and you are like, come on, now show me your sad face. And they frown their mouth and look sad. And this is my sad face. This is RuPaul's sad face. But of course, we knew that. If you've seen any of RuPaul's movie, you know that she cannot act. That's not her talent. Her talent, in my opinion, is exploiting people. That's her, and fracking, allegedly. And fracking. Oh my God, Jujubee, I'm so sad for you. Oh my God, whenever Ru comes in the workroom, I know that is going to be the show for me. I'm going to go on my tangent, and go in this magical world inside my mind, inspired by whatever is happening on screen, and time dilates, and I swear, I'm not on mood stabilizers when I watch this. And I get the whole show is RuPaul going in the workroom. That's the whole show for me. That's how crazy I can get. So thankfully, we only had to see 3 queens. So we are not going to see Blair, and we are not going to see Cracker. I am relieved. Because can you imagine if you went to Blair and said, okay, so Blair, you were raped. Now tell me about it. Because, last time we didn't ask you so directly, so we need to ask you more directly. How is it like to be raped? Were you drunk? Were you drunk and driving? Because, in the TMZ article, it shows that you were drunk. So, can you imagine it? The madness of it? So, maybe it happened. Sorry. Surely she went to Blair to talk. They filmed this. So we don't know what actually happened. We can only speculate about it. But for some reason, it was cut. So thankfully, we at least don't get to see it. Whatever it was, whatever happened, whatever it was told, thankfully, we didn't have to see it. So after this nice moment with RuPaul, where everybody is so emotional, we go back to the workroom. So RuPaul went the fuck off. She took her pills. She went snorting. She does whatever she does backstage. Which is a joke, by the way. I have to say it. Every fucking time. Isn't it amazing? But I have to say it. So RuPaul went the fuck off. And we have this relatable moment with Miz Cracker. And Miz Cracker is like, so, you guys, how are you going to vote for tonight? What are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? And Jujubee is like, what I think is going on in her mind. It's like, oh, this fucking bitch. This bitch couldn't shut the fuck up. She has to stir the pot. We are here in front of the fake mirror. We are supposed to have emotional moments because that's what we do in front of the mirror. And she is stirring the pot. What a bitch. So, of course, Jujubee being a lady, because Jujubee is a lady, you can tell everything that you want about Jujubee. That she had shitty outfits during the season, that she didn't fully commit, that she wasn't prepared, and all of it is true. I completely understand it. Nevertheless, she is a fucking lady. So she goes to Cracker and simply says, I'm going to vote by heart. Whatever the fuck that means. I'm going to vote by heart. Which in my mind, it was a huge apocalyptic middle finger to Cracker, and everybody else immediately understands what's going on, because let's not forget, they play it up for the screen, but they're still real people, and they're still smart people, and they're still professionals. So everybody knows what Cracker was doing, and everybody knows what Jujubee was doing. So when someone else was asked, they said, oh yes, I'm going to vote by heart as well. Because, there is way and way of playing the game. There is one way in which you just follow the current. You just go with the flow, like Shea Coulee is doing, like Blair Sinclair is doing with the Alexis Mateo storyline. They didn't put it there. They didn't start it. It happened, and they're just going with the flow because that's what you have to do on the show. That's simply what you have to do to survive, to not damage your image, to get the best out of the experience. And all the queens know they don't hold grudges because you have to go with the flow. But Cracker is different. She is Miss Storyline. So if the storyline is not there, she is going to make one. So you see, she has no empathy for me. She has zero empathy for me because you don't need to do this. As Pearl said back in season 7, Pearl. Respect fucking Pearl because she was a damn genius and nobody got it. Everybody was like, oh, she's just cute. They brought her there because she's cute. And I thought that as well. Took years to realize that she was a motherfucking oh my, I cannot be so vulgar. I'm sorry for everybody that's listening. I'm just, it just get out. I'm sorry. But Pearl said, yes, you have to play the game, but you don't have to do everything that they tell you to do. And you don't have to play that game. She did during, what was it? I think it was last episode, Untucked of season 7, when they were they still had a top 3 back then. So it was the episode before, when they had a top 4. And it was incredible. If you think about the time, it was almost 6 years ago already. And, whatever Cracker is doing, she's not going with the flow. She is doing exactly what she's expected to do by the producer, stirring the pot. Because, something happened since the season started. She knows that she's safe. She is not in danger to go on first. She's not in danger of getting a bad edit or a bad storyline. And by the time this moment happens, she knows that she's safe. So instead of the normal storyline Cracker, we get Cracker in attacking mode. And you can see the change in her attitude from this moment on, even in Untucked. So keep an eye on that. And we're going to talk about it. So, back to the main stage. We have this family moment where you have, I think, 2 relatives or RuPaul, or maybe 1, but I think it's 2, the 2 sisters, if I'm not wrong, sisters or cousins, or maybe cousins, I don't know, I'm sorry. And everybody is there, it's a family reunion. So we have these 2 RuPaul relatives, we have the pit crew, probably we have some talent handlers, we have some producers, we have some people that happen to pass by and said, do you want to make $10? Yes, come in. Pretend that you're having fun on camera. So we have this challenge, whatever the hell that is. Did I like it? Did I dislike it? I don't know, because by the time this challenge happened, I was already tuned out. The show was basically done and finished for me. I had everything that I wanted from RuPaul in the workroom. So, we have this challenge. You might have liked it. I might have liked it. I don't know. It didn't irritate me, okay? I didn't dislike it. I didn't like it either, but I didn't dislike it. It was okay. It was not like a SheMZ moment with oh my god. I don't want to talk about that. I'm still traumatized. Amateur season, welcome to the chat. Don't worry if you're late. Whenever you come, you come. That's what I said to my boyfriend yesterday. That's not true. That's not true. So, let's talk about outfits. What do we think about these outfits? Well, I would have wanted to see more in the making. I would have really appreciated that. Instead, in the workroom, we had all these moments showing Shay helping other queens, talking about Alexis Mateo, about how she is a villain, how they need to watch their back, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I would have actually liked to see some of the artistry, a tiny bit. It didn't have to be much, but a couple of minutes of seeing them gluing things and sewing things and constructing things, because that's what gives the whole experience a third dimension to me. And it's also interesting because, God forbid, I cannot sew. I tried, I swear. I even achieved some result, but I didn't really apply myself. After I broke the second needle, I thought, you know what? These pants look good enough. They are not too long now. They are the right length, so I'm satisfied with it. But I would have liked to see more, because that's the best part for me. That's the fantastic part of it, how they create the outfit. Since we don't get to see how they create the persona anymore, because we have to have all these bullshit emotional moments and blah blah blah, at least let me see how they do it. And I am basically satisfied. I'm genuinely satisfied with what they came out with. I understand that the one that looked the most worked on, the one that had the most craftsmanship, let's say it like this, was Shekule, without any doubt. You can see the amount of work that was put in there, all the different things that she stitched together, how she built it up, how she created a character. So for me, she is the winner of this challenge. Now, with that said, the other ones that I liked the most were Alexis Mateo and Blair. Blair looked absolutely, and this is coming from the guy who has absolutely no fashion taste. So forgive me if I'm talking bullshit, but Blair looked absolutely gorgeous. She looked so beautiful. It's incredible. If this was 15 years ago, I would probably ask her out. And thinking, you know what? You're a woman, but I don't give a shit. Let's see where this goes. That's how beautiful you think she looked. She was incredible, and the outfit in this, it was simple. It was simple, but it flew so well on the body. It was incredible. It was so incredible. I loved it. What I really hated was Miz Cracker's outfit. It looked horrible. It looked so horrible with this top that she has with this. You know what this reminded me of? Do you remember season 3? Do you remember season 3, episode 1? Do you remember season 3, episode 1, the Christmas ball? And what did that outfit remind you of? Think about it for a moment. Think about it, because the moment I saw Miz Cracker, the first thing that I thought was, oh my god, it's Venus the Light without the broken balls. Or maybe there were broken balls. We just don't know it. Oh my god, it looked awful. I see in the comments that you're already thinking that I am talking shit about this outfit. You cannot be more right. But, I had a disclaimer. I had no sense of fashion. I had zero sense of fashion. So I absolutely hated whatever Miz Cracker was serving. This top was awful. This thing that she had on her neck, I know that she has a long neck, but what is it? It looks like a desperate attempt of using as much material as possible. It didn't do anything for her figure. It was terrible. Look at the way Cracker highlighted her neck on the right and slightly on the left. Look how Alexis Mateo did it, without putting anything on it, but putting things around it. That's the difference in style. And we can discuss all that we want about how fashion is subjective, how personal taste is subjective, but I think when you look at this comparison side by side, you can clearly see, and anybody would agree, that whatever is going on with Cracker's neck is completely fucked up. I mean, look at Alexis. That's done properly. Even look at Shay. that is done properly. A thin line. It looks like she has like a choke on her. It's awful. It's horrible. It's horrible. But she is Miss Storyline. She is Miss Storyline. So of course the judges was going to slurp her up. This judging was ridiculous. As usual, we got used to it. But the point is that one critique that Michelle had for Cracker. Let's look back at Cracker's outfit. Look at it. Print it in your mind. You have it there. Keep an eye on it. What Michelle says is, it really looks fashion to me. This is fashion. So fuck Violet Chachki, fuck Aquaria, fuck everybody else with this is fashion. So if this is what passes for fashion, I am proud of having no fashion taste at all. So these are the critiques. And you know, it's basically a whole minute of butt licking for all of these queens. All of them. Because you know, there is one villain after all. Did you forget about it? So when the moment comes to give Alexis Mateo her critique, they go on for 30 seconds. Everybody else had 1 to 2 minutes of critique where, you know, all the judges said something nice and something critiquey and something maybe not very nice when it came to Blair. But, you know, they generally had a kind of heterogeneous critique. You know, a little bit of everything from a little bit of everybody. When it came to Alexis Mateo, it went on for 30 seconds. Where everybody was saying basically, your outfit is shit, your outfit is shit, your outfit is shit, bam, finished. And that was it. That was Alexis' critiques. So, you know, but in a way, it's amusing to me to see these things happening. It's sad. I completely agree with it. It's sad, it's unfair, it's whatever it is. But in a way, it's also amusing because it's the show showing once again that whoever is producing now is doing a terrible job. In my opinion, a terrible job. Come on. You can be a tiny bit subtle, you know. We are not all 10 years old. Some of us are grown men and grown women and grown everything in between. So, you know, we have a brain. Let's entertain it, you know, properly, with class. You are a queen after all. So, after this, Cracker is announced the winner. Why was Cracker the winner? Well, you know from the beginning we had a villain storyline because I knew Cracker was going to win. Make no mistake about it. The moment Rue went in the workroom, I knew that Alexis was going home and that Cracker was going to win because it's simply too perfect. You have an established villain, and who do you make the established villain be sent home from or plead their case from? Well, from their antagonist, Miz Cracker, the only person with whom that is still there, with whom Alexis originally and for the past 3 episodes had issues with. It's not a mistake. It's produced. Because otherwise the reason why should have Cracker won? I mean, we all have a pair of eyes. We've all seen it happening. So Cracker won, and we are back in the workroom discussing who is going to go home. And this is the most entertaining part of the show after RuPaul's going in the workroom, at least for me, because it gets surreal again real quick. By the moment we are inside the workroom, Cracker is being relatable again. Look at her. She won. Boom! It exploded my mouth. Look at it. It's so memeable. It's so relatable, Becky. And you know, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Do you have to do this all of the time? She has to do. Apparently, she has to do it, and that's not enough because a moment later she's going to be even more memeable. It's bottom realness memeable, and you know what do you have to do? What do you have to do? I don't know. I don't know what do I think about this person. I'm starting to feel very irritated. And the thing that irritates me the most is that the kind of power that you're going to get by being portrayed in this way from such a famous show on Drag Race, I have a hint that will not be used responsibly. Because that's what happened in the past. And that's what I think it's going to continue happening. Especially after seeing everything that went on with Angina. I'm not talking about when they filmed the show. I'm talking about when the show aired. I'm talking about last month. So there's the sad part of it, the whole sad part of it. Because, there are really quirky people out there. Think of people like Crystal, who don't need to be overproduced, who don't need to be relatable, who don't need to bring all this facade of a person, and we can celebrate them, and we can have fun with them, and we can laugh at them, but only always in a good way, and they can laugh at themselves with us, and we can all have good fun and whatever it is. And this is the person who went to interviews calling a colleague a cunt for giving an opinion. Not once, not twice, 3 times. That's it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it again in the future, because this doesn't fly right with me. What's happening with Miz Cracker is an insult to everybody else who is doing their best to be portrayed as the people they are. So we're going to talk about it. And when this moment comes, she says, you know what, I don't think that you and you should be in the bottom. So the bottom for me, it's going to be Blair and Alexis. So I want to have a one-on-one talk with Blair and Alexis, because, she wants this moment. When she said, I want to have a talk, when she picks out 2 people and then said, I want to have a talk one-on-one, you know that she wanted this moment, because this is the typical All-Stars moment. We have got used to it since All-Stars 2. The winning queen has to have a one-on-one talk with the bottoms, and she's going to get that moment. And if the format doesn't allow for that moment, she is going to make it happen. So she chooses a bottom 2, and she has a talk with this bottom 2. And look at her eyes. She is so interested. So one question that arises for me is, why put there the effort to come out and say, I want to have one-on-one talks. I think there is a bottom 2 and the top 2 in the 4 bottoms. So I want to have a talk with these 2 people. And then when you have these 2 people to have a talk with, this is your face. This is your face. She doesn't give a shit. During the whole talking, she doesn't give a shit. She's thinking, what should I do next time in the next confessional? After this, what should I do? Should I twerk? Should I do the boom thing? Yes, I should do the boom thing, because it blew my mind that I won. Yeah. I'm going to do that. And what else? Well, we'll have to see. But yeah, they're going to work with me. Yes, because I'm in the top. Of course they're going to work with me. And did I close the car again? Oh no, Crackers, you stupid bitch. You don't have a car. You stay at the hotel. All of this is going on in her mind, except doing the things that she pushed to do, which is talking to these 2 people. And if you had any doubt about it, listen to what she's saying during the whole talking, both with Blair and both with Alexis. That's how interested she is.
I have put so much dedication, fire, emphasis, love into this, passion.
Yeah.
We've had differences in this competition.
Yeah.
I hope that we've put them all aside,
Yeah.
I know you and Blair has a great bond, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did a great job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And continue to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice that? Yeah. You know what this looks like to me? I'm going to digress for a little bit, okay? Just a tiny bit, just a moment. Have you ever had any kind of friends or relatives or people that you have some degree of relation with? I'm talking about relationship, closeness. Closeness is the right word. And at some point realize when they come up with an issue and talk to you. And at some point you realize, wait a moment, they're not really talking to me. They don't really want my opinion on it. So what they want is just to let things out. They don't want me to participate. I am a pair of ears. So all that you do, you find yourself in a situation in which you just nod and say, because your job in that moment, it's not to really listen to whatever they're saying, is to give back a kind of, how can I say, it's a nodding head. You have to give signs that you're still there and you're still listening. But your job is not really to listen or to understand what's going on or to give feedback of what's going on or to give advice. Your job is to just be there so that this person can talk to himself or herself while not feeling like he's talking to himself. Has it ever happened to you? Because this is exactly what the way Cracker is approaching to this situation. She's tuned out. She's completely out of it. People are talking and say, oh, I feel like this and I have this fire in me and I want to do it because and because. She's like, This is how much she's invested in this. And don't forget, she worked for this. She wanted this. So if she didn't want this, to listen to these two people, then why did she want it? Oh, you know what? I think she wanted because it's a place, it's a spotlight. That's what she wanted. It's screen time. Screen time on her face, not on the group face. It's on her face and other two people, which is still better than on her face and other 4 people. Because she's not stupid, make no mistake. This person is not stupid. This person is a professional at what she does, whatever the fuck that is. So the moment comes to pick up the lipstick and decide who has to go home. And of course, Cracker is like, oh my gosh, Victoria, could you imagine if I picked Shay's lipstick? Oh my gosh, that would be such a bummer. Oh. And I'm like, bitch, no, you are not Bandela Creme. You are not Bandela Creme in episode 1, and you're not Naomi Smalls. She is not Naomi Smalls, but she's played like she is, but she would never do something like that. You know, when Manila was hit by a train last season, I was like, dear God, Naomi. I was completely blown away by Naomi. The whole season of All Stars 4. That's because I don't follow her. So basically what I knew about Naomi was that little bit that I saw on season 8. So when she came out as a fully realized professional, and not like any professional, but the kind of professional that doesn't give a fuck, she was on All Stars saying, well, you know what, I'm going to play the game. I don't care. I'm here to play the game. I'm going to play it. And it was then entertaining when she did that to Manila, because she really didn't give a fuck. And she had to know that Manila was going to portray it in a very favorable way in All Stars 4, but she did it anyway. And that's the beauty of it. You know, that is the kind of queens that I would love to see competing all of the time. But you know, not everyone can be in a way reckless like Naomi was, because that could have easily gone south. If it was anybody else, it could have easily gone south. And you know, Miz Cracker, what she's doing here, she's appropriating what happened in All Stars 4. She's making it all about herself. What if I picked Shay? What if I wrote Ongina's name on the lipstick? What if? These are things that other people did. And she is reminiscing about them, but she's not doing them. So who did she pick? She picked Alexis. I would be so surprised if she picked anybody else. You know, maybe Blair. Could be. You remember Blair's confessional saying, well, Cracker is smart, she is not stupid, so she can play up. And this was a confessional from Blair. Don't forget that. She was like, I know Cracker. And she is smart enough to realize that you have to say something in front of the camera while something else is going on in your mind. And that's your dose of reality for this episode. That's a breach in the Crystal Dome of reality TV, if you will, that's a breach, because you have Blair there saying exactly, this is a game, she is playing it, she is good at playing it, and I am not stupid not to realize that that is what happening. All of that went on in the 2 seconds of Blair confessionals, and you gotta give it to her. You gotta give it to her. Blair grown so much. I am so happy for her. I don't give a shit if she doesn't win. I don't give a shit if she is portrayed villainous next episode of whatever it is. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever she's doing with herself, she's doing it right. So good for you. Good for you. So after this, after faking the pick of Shay's lipstick, we have some more relatable moments. Of course, we love those. Look at those quirky faces. Those are so memeable. Those are so memeable. And look at that. That's, oh my god. Oh my god, I cannot. I cannot anymore. Does that look human to you? Does that look human to you? That's a living thumb, camping it up for the camera to be relatable and to be memeable, because everybody wants to be memeable. What is the best thing that can happen to you on Drag Race? It's not winning, it's not the money, it's not being portrayed in a positive way, it's being memeable. And that started back in season 5. Do you guys remember season 5? If some of you if some of you watched this, watched season 5 when it aired and saw the aftermath of whatever was going on after season 5, and noticed that Alyssa was portrayed as a villain and people were responding to her as a villain. For 6 months after season 5 aired, everybody was talking shit about Alyssa and Coco, about both of them, as if they were terrible people. But you know what happened? Alyssa became memeable. We made Alyssa. I mean, Alyssa made Alyssa, but that Alyssa that you see playing it up on television, we, the fandom, we made it. We are the one who pushed her memes. We are the ones who made videos about her. We are the ones who made GIF about it, even before GIFs were a thing about Drag Race. So that's the power of being a meme. Think of people like Miss Vanjie. 5 memorable seconds on television and she became an international sensation. People who don't even know what drag is, you know, the kind of people that you say, I like drag queens, and they respond something like, are they prostitutes? This kind of people, they knew the Miss Vanjie meme. So that's the power of meme, and that's in front of you for your how does it say? I don't know the saying, sorry, I forgot it. For your consideration, that is Miz Cracker the meme. For your consideration. Everything that's done on camera. It should be done. You know, when I make a video about Miz Cracker, I should have like a bottom banner that appears with an Emmy award saying, most memeable queen, Miz Cracker, for your consideration. And play it up all of these memes, because she's trying so hard. She is trying so hard. Girl, you don't need to try that hard, especially if it shows. You know, I understand the need, I understand the struggle, but girl, you're not really struggling. You're doing amazing outside of the race. What more do you want? You cannot be Miss Vanjie. You cannot be Bianca Del Rio. You cannot be Jinx Monsoon. You cannot even be Bob the Drag Queen. But you are Miz Cracker. And what's wrong with that? Just go with the flow. Instead of serving all of this thing, and what is all of these things? You cannot play this character up 24/7. People are going to see you. People already see you. So, well, but I'm going on a tangent. Anyway, moving on. We have the lip sync. And of course, when did you guys thought it was going to be Roxy? My money was on Trinity K. Bonet. I was absolutely in for Trinity K. Bonet. But I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised to see Roxy. Most of all because there are still people out there talking shit about Roxy. And I know, you, the people who come to the streams, we know each other, we know we're all reasonable, and we know that it's a show and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But a ton of people out there, they don't. They still go on Roxy Andrews and they still comment on my videos. I see these comments on the channel saying, oh my god, Roxy is such a bitch. Is. The key word is. That happened 7 years ago. Do you know how many things happened in the last 7 years? Because I would like to pick up these people and see what they were doing 7 years ago, and then compare it to the performance that this person gave on a reality television show, and see what's worse. I would really like to see it. So, it's 7 years ago. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go and enjoy the performance. Enjoy the performer, because she works her ass off. If you go on YouTube and check some of her lip syncs, then you realize that she works it. And by comparison, everybody else that you see is going to look a little bit less. She works it, and she shows it. This lip sync from Roxy was incredible. She was amazing. She did great. I am so happy for her, and I hope that at least the new fans that come in can really recognize the professional that's behind the character. I was absolutely not surprised that she won. She deserved it, but it's Drag Race, so Cracker had a double winner with Morgan last time, and Cracker is not a lip syncer. She's not, that's not what she does good. She does good camp comedy when it's well scripted and filmed. It's very good. If you watch on her channel, Review with a Jew, it's really entertaining. It's really well done. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a little bit informative when she talks about things behind the scene. I used to watch it. So don't think that just because I'm reading the shit out of her, I do not see the artistry behind it, because it's still there. But she's not a good lip syncer. Yet she won against Morgan. Morgan! Go on YouTube and check Morgan's lip sync when she is dressed as Catwoman. See what she does. And then you tell me that Campy Cracker was a tie. Whatever. Is Cracker going to win? Well, we'll see. I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. And you know what's most funny about it? That if she's not going to win, it's not because her run on the show didn't deserve it. Because her run on the show is amazing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're even going to give her another win. Just because she's Cracker. She is the memeable queen who is giving you storylines, who is giving you realness, who is giving you campiness, who is pushing things around. Why not? Why not? But I don't think she's going to win. And I think it's I don't know, retribution? Is that the correct word to say it? Retribution? Because, everything that's done in the dark at some point comes back in the sunlight, Cracker. So we're going to see about that. So Roxy wins, and of course the Queen have decided who goes home, and they decided for Alexis. And at this point, but basically throughout All Stars, it's painful to see anybody go home. Anybody. I was pissed off in episode 1 when Derek went home, and continue to be pissed off every episode. I think that the problem with having elimination in All Stars is that these people are All Stars. These people are there because we know them and we want more of them. And I think that the format in which they send her home, they send one home every time, it's just not the right format for All Stars. It works really well in a normal season, but it's really... I think it's a waste. It's a waste done with All Stars, because a lot of people tune in just to see that specific queen that they learn to love. And when it's not there, they might be tuning out, especially when all of this kind of shenanigans starts happening and people start noticing. And they're like, well, I'm not in for this anymore. I'm just going to tune out. So it would have been nice to see a little bit more of all of these queens. It would be nice if they had the guts to change the format and do an all-star season when nobody goes home. And we get 5 or 6 or 7 episodes of showcasing these lovable queens. And they probably would have even a bigger viewership. So I really don't understand why they keep this format. It's basically that mindset. It's that mindset that says if something works, there's no need to change it, which usually is the right way to go, especially in business. But you also have to have an eye on the future. You also have to understand how things are changing. And if you can for once be smart enough to change with the time and understand the time, then you can not only ensure the survivability of your show, you can ensure the profitability over time of your show. So it would be a very smart decision if they at least would spend some money, not that much money, just some money. What is it about? Like 0.1% of whatever they earn for selling Drag Race. If they spend that money in doing market research, trying to figure out if an all-star season with nobody going home is actually doable, if people would actually be interested, if they would prefer it, it would be nice if they would spend a little bit of money in that kind of market research, because it's also in their best interest. You are in this for making money after all. So if investing a tiny bit can bring you up more millions in the next couple of years, then it's all welcome. So we'll see what's going to happen when the next season of All Stars comes around. But when we already knew that something was up with All Stars when they announced that it was going to move to Showtime. And many people said, well, it moved to Showtime because it's even more famous than before. It's really at the top. It's so much at the top that another network wants to pay for it and wants to compete against Viacom to have All Stars 5. So it means that the show is very healthy. While other people said, what happened? Maybe VH1 doesn't want it. That's why they moved to Showtime. So there was this, nobody knew exactly what was going on, and we might not even ever know what really went on. But still, something was up with this season of All Stars. So we're going to see what happens next. And don't forget that, as at the best of my knowledge, they are not filming anything yet. So season 13, who knows when we get it, because we are probably going to skip a whole year. But don't worry, we will be there to entertain you. We're going to have a year of hell, a year of complete withdrawal from Drag Race. But we will come up with something. Maybe we do like viewing parties. We go through the seasons and talk about them and talk about the storylines, talk about how the queens evolve. We will do something about it, because if they are not there to entertain you, we are here to entertain you in our own fucked up way. So that's it. Now, talking about, for a moment, just a tiny moment, about Canada's Drag Race. While I was watching, I didn't finish the episode. I didn't have the time. I had a ton of things to do this week. So I watched half of the episode. But if you notice, we talked about the sexualization of the pit crew. That happens on Drag Race Canada. They are keeping the good stuff. And they are still finding their footing. Okay, so this is something that Mr. Invisible noticed while we were watching this episode together, saying, well, it's Brooklyn Heights, she's not really doing a good job, she's trying to be too much like Ru. But yeah, they're still finding their footing. Because, of course, they paid for a license for doing Drag Race, so they're going to use everything about Drag Race. So they're going to use the format, they're going to use the way the judges speak, they're going to use they're not called the sound effects. They have the sound effect package from Drag Race. So if you watch Drag Race Canada and pay attention to the background music, you can hear the suspense music from Drag Race, the emotional music for Drag Race, because, we all became accustomed to this. So even if we don't notice this kind of sound effects in the background, it immediately creates a sense of familiarity. And this is basically why you are paying for a franchise, for being able to carry on with an already known franchise, is for that kind of things, that kind of automatic connection that people make because of the tiny things. That's what what you pay for. And Drag Race Canada is still trying to find its footing, but it's on its good way. It's really on its good way. So if you do not appreciate the first season, and I cannot stress it enough, because people are going to compare it to normal Drag Race, give it a pass. Give it a pass. It's still a spin-off of Drag Race, so it cannot be Dragula. When we saw Dragula Season 1, I bet that everybody here in the chat was completely blown away by how different it was, how intimate it felt, how artistry was portrayed in a different way. It was, it was unique. It was really unique. And I don't get the same vibe from Drag Race Canada, but that is because it's a spin-off. So give it a little bit of time to find its footing, and I am sure it will become extremely entertaining, especially next season. Now, with that said, we're going to move to Kiki time. I'm going to take my pee pause, drinking pause, vaping pause. Let's put some music in the background. What do you guys want? Of course, from the free library of YouTube, or at least Kevin MacLeod. I can give you a choice. We have some emotional music, we have some dance music, and we have some rock music. So what would you like to hear while I am away doing my business? Let's wait a moment, because in the chat it takes about 20-30 seconds before my voice actually reaches you, and you can write in the chat. At the chat I see in real time, but you don't get my voice in real time. It's about a 20 seconds buffering. So Yaniv Garber said emotional music. Fantasia said rock. Mrs. G says dance. Okay, dance music won. Dance music won for 5 votes for dance music. Let's go with dance. And I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Sorry. Sorry. I misclicked on the music. I wanted to do a fade out. A little bit of fade out effect. I fucked it up. I completely fucked it up. So, let's go back to our little bit of a kiki time, okay? So, if you're staying here this long, you stayed here for the show. Thank you for watching. It was great. If you want to stay for the kiki, stay for the kiki. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. So, let's talk about, we'll go to the comments in a moment. I want to talk about the situation with the channel for a moment. Now, I've seen in the beginning of the channel being sandboxed. What does it mean? It means that no matter what we do, if we do a good video, if we do a bad video, there is like a mark on the channel that basically says do not promote it that much. It goes like down in the promoting ranking. There is like the YouTube algorithm probably has this kind of rank page for every channel, for all the different kind of content that they have, and your videos can go up and down in the ranking depending on many different things. What are the consequences? The consequences is that no matter what we do, it's not really going to get out. So the fact that I know that this is happening, in a way it's a good thing, because I can look at videos that I make and say, listen, it's not that you didn't do a good job, it's just that it's YouTube. For the moment, it is how it is. And don't forget that the channel has a copyright strike. So having a copyright strike acts as much bad as it does when you're not in the partner program. What I've seen happening, we're still in the partner program, by the way, which is incredible to me. I'm really happy about it. But still, the moment we got in the partner program, our views basically tripled in a matter of 2 days. And you can say it's a coincidence, whatever it is, but I've seen it happen before when they kicked us out of the partner programs 2 years ago. The views went down like a third. And that's the same thing that happened once we received first the copyright claim and then the copyright strike. So it's a positive thing because I know that it is happening. So I can avoid being not so hard on myself. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Velho said, is it what? I'm not sure. Season said, I missed the beginning. Well, I basically explain what is happening. It's basically that the channel is less visible. Okay, but that's not the only thing that's happening. It also hit you from a monetary perspective. We don't make much with the channel at the moment. At best, we make anything between $5, $6, $7. Some days, really good days, we make $10 a day with the channel, which is still really good because it adds up. This is of course, this is after taxes. This is usable money, so it adds up. Because I've been complaining for months. I want a new computer. I want a new computer. I want a new computer. And then this whole situation with the quarantine happened, and it basically created not problems, but we didn't have that much money anymore. So the fact that they included us in the partner program in a way helped with the fact that we couldn't save that much for new equipment. So it adds up over time. But the problem is that with this thing happening with the channel, most of our videos don't get monetized. Somehow, for some reason, they are not suitable for advertisement. And also, our streams don't get the benefit of the doubt. What does it mean? It means that, let me see, because I made a screenshot of this exact stream as it's going on. Here it is. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger so that you can read it. Okay, this is the live stream. You see what it says under monetization? It said limited. Limited, it basically means that you are earning 5% of what you would get, because nobody wants to advertise on videos that are flagged with limited advertisement. And this happens in the live streams while the live stream is going on, because we don't get the benefit of the doubt that what we do is suitable for advertising. So what happens is that like a day after the live stream aired, it gets monetized. After a day. So basically when everybody who wanted to watch it basically already watched it. And this, I'm afraid, is going to go to it's going to happen with the videos as well. But I am prepared for it, and I won't complain as much. Okay, so let's move on to, what is this? Okay, let's move on to the comments, guys. What do we have? Dixie says, I was disappointed in Dragula this season. I desperately wanted Eva Destruction to at least place higher. She's my favorite monster queen. What disappointed me of Dragula this season was the fact that they started to edit it a little bit too much. They went a little bit in the drag race way, which is not really a good thing. Yannick Garber said, in some way it's really fun to be more aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Equally, I think it's harder to actually get absorbed in the show and actually enjoy it. Yes, well, it's a trade-off, you know? It's like, I think it's like everything in life. It's like you go through phases. You cannot avoid going through phases, because growing up, it's not just something that people actually work for. It's something that really happens no matter what. It's like a biological thing. This is the conclusion I came out with. So no matter how much you don't want to grow, even if you don't want to grow, you're going to grow no matter what. So this is going to happen for everything. At some point, you're going to become more knowledgeable, you're going to learn more things, and you're going to change your mind on a lot of things. The good thing is that if something stops being amusing, a lot of other things starts becoming amusing. So this show is still really enjoyable to me, even with all the fucked up edits, and especially because of the fucked up edits and the storylines and understanding what's going on behind the scenes. And you know, it makes me feel more in touch with these queens, because whatever I was watching before, that was the produced reality television. And what I see when I try to go beyond the edit is the real people behind it. In a way that's different from social media, for example. Because when you understand what's happening beyond the edit, you see them raw. You see them as unproduced and as real as they come. When on social media, they are still produced. They are produced by themselves, not by the team at World of Wonder, but they're still kind of produced. It's really difficult to have a realistic perception of these people in a way. And we crave it. We desperately crave it. That's part of the entertainment of the whole thing. It's this idea of establishing a connection, and not just a kind of entertaining connection, saying, oh, this person is giving me a nice time, I'm having fun. It's also it's on a personal level. So it gets interesting. It doesn't matter if the storylines seem overproduced today. Just look at some other ways, because this is still one of the best queer entertainment that we have at the moment. You know, if something best comes along, then you might say, okay, then I appreciate this more. Like, for example, when it comes to the drag artistry, I appreciate Dragula much more. There is no doubt about that. And it's not just the fact that it's more, how can I say, more showcased. It's also about the fact that they approach this talent thing in a totally different way. They do not really critique the queens themselves. They critique the way their artistry applies to the show, and they make it very clear in every episode, which I think it's an incredible responsible message to send, especially to the viewers. Amateur Season said to Kaya, I didn't know that. Oh, I missed a comment, sorry. Fantasia, I couldn't listen. The sound wasn't good and it bothers me. The sound from the stream? That RPDR channel said, Dixie, because she talks shit about RuPaul. Eva Destruction. Nobody is safe. You cannot talk shit about RuPaul. If you want to have anything to do with RuPaul, WoW Presents, or maybe even VH1, you better not talk shit about RuPaul. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. The moment we decided that we were going to be real about the show and do the chop and do the shadiness behind the show and the overproducing of the whole thing, I knew that we gave up any possible future chances of really having any kind of contact with the Queen. Nobody would associate with us. If one day this channel will completely blow up and that hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views and whatever it is, we will have absolutely zero chance of having like an interview with a queen or a queen jumping on a live stream, because nobody would associate with us, because we shit a lot on RuPaul and the producers behind it. But you know, it's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. Amateur Season said she's talking about Eva. She was in the bottom 3 times in the row. Priscilla is a sweetheart who had to stay, and I don't know why Louisiana was in the bottom. I loved Louisiana Purchase. She was one of my favorite queens, and you can tell me everything that you want. She was not polished as the other. It's not about the artistry. It's about the emotional connection. She made an emotional connection with me. That whole lived-on queen with her, if you want, a kind of old-fashioned style, whatever it is, she made an incredible connection with me. And I was so happy to see her celebrated and even pushed a little bit. Because you know what happens on Drag Race to the older queens? You remember in season 7? Because that established the precedent. The old queen go on first. That's what they do. So when I saw that didn't really happen with Louisiana, I was really, really happy. But still, the queen who went on first in season 3 of Dragula, who was it? I cannot recall the name. Well, whoever she was, I wanted to see more of her. She looked like a piece of work. She really looked like a piece of work. I would have liked to see more. I hope that Dragula will start making All-Stars. Like when season 4 will happen at some point, I hope after that they have enough queen to make an All-Stars of Dragula. It's going to be amazing. And maybe even bring back winners. Why not? Because, you know, winners on Drag Race, I have the feeling that they don't really want to appear on All-Stars. They're like, damn, I survived the first time. I won. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to risk it all again. Fantasia said, you're all talking about season 2 of Dragula, right? No, it's season 3. It's season 3. Kayo said, Ava came in very strong and then she went down. Well, she doesn't really look like a monster to me. I've known Eva Destruction as this queen who would do a lot of Lady Gaga lip syncs. And then she did that, the laughing track video. And that was the first weird thing that I've seen of her. So a lot of the critique that I saw on Reddit and that I saw on Twitter was on the fact that she was not really a monster. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, you have to do what you have to do in order to be being cast in this famous reality TV show who can really change your life if you have a good run. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, it doesn't feel like she was not bitch pudding. Let's be honest with that. She's Eva motherfucking Destruction, but she is not bitch pudding or Vander Von Odd. That RPDR channel, I don't understand how could Eva say some mean things to RuPaul and then go to the premiere of AJ and the Queen. Well, maybe she was hoping she never read that, you know. But it's show business. It's show business done by people who often do not have a publicist and who often are not very trained in the heart of relating to the public as a public person. So sometimes they do shit like this. You know, they say things they shouldn't really say because they're going to come back and hurt them in the future. And people like you might call them out and say, well, you critique her and then you go to the premiere. And that really doesn't make sense, which means that if you want it to make sense, the Queen will have to address it, which is even more pain in the ass, because now you have to make everybody aware of the fact that this inconsistency is there. And you have to actually put it's madness. It's madness. Hire a publicist. That's what I say to all of the queens that appear on reality television, because that's how they're going to get a boost in their career. They need to hire a publicist. I mean, look what happened to Gigi Good. Look what happened to Gigi Good. I mean, and I don't know if she had a publicist, but I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. Amateur Season said, what happened to the channel? Oh yes, we talked about this. Rachel said, glad I was able to catch the stream this time. If anyone has a link to the Discord, I would appreciate it. Thanks. Yes, but I don't think they are able to post it because the chat will block it, and I am completely unable to they don't show me the blocked comment, so I cannot allow it. But I can get you the link and I can post it. Just give me a moment because I have to get it back. Okay. And there we go. I'm sorry I've not been very active at all. Fantasia created. Thank you, Fantasia, for creating this Discord thing. I didn't even know what it was. I still don't know how it works. I still have to take a little bit of time to do that. But, you know, I had a lot to do this week. I wanted to finish the marble video, which, by the way, it's a different video from what we usually publish. And it looks like YouTube didn't even show it to the subscribers. I mean, of course, it's an animal video on a RuPaul's Drag Race channel, but still, it has like 1% of the subscribers have seen it. So that is there to say that this is something that many other creators complained about YouTube, that the moment you try to do something different or even make a video under a different category, that it's not comedy or not entertainment or it's not blog, when you go to a different category, you basically have to start from scratch. It's like you have 0 subscribers on your channel. And that is something about YouTube. It kind of gives you this incentive to stay within your tracks. And if you deviate from that, it's not going to go well with you. It's you know, when you start thinking about this thing, it's so difficult to work with YouTube. That's why I usually tend to never criticize any kind of fellow creators, because it's like being employed. If what YouTube does to us would be done in a kind of employing situation, you could actually sue. You could sue their ass for this, because the rules are not clear. Whatever happens without giving you any kind of reason. You never have any kind of rebuttal of any kind, except when like this tiny impression of power that you have when you have to fight copyright claims, which is most of the time just an impression. You're not going to be able to do anything about it. It's you know, it's really hard. It's really hard. Especially for those YouTubers who need YouTube, because that's their source of livelihood. So we are still in the liberty of saying, you know what, it doesn't work, fuck it. I don't need it to survive. But some people do need it to survive. So that's why I'm usually very understanding to other fellow creators here on YouTube. Anyway, it was a kind of busy week. I had to finish the marble video. I really wanted to get it out. She is the mascot of the channel. Then I had to finish. I don't know if you watched the video, you saw that Marble's cage is basically standing on a piece of furniture that I built. And these cabinets did not have the covers at all. So I need to go out it was time to finish it because it's been like that for a year and a half, without doors on the bottom part of it. So I really had to finish it, mostly because when we're going on vacation at some point we will leave the house for a couple of weeks, and whenever you treat the wood, which means that you oil it, it leaves a very bad smell. So we want to take advantage of this time. So the doors needed to be done. And it was a complete mess. I had to go out, buy the wood. Then I found out that the wood was all cupped. It was all distorted. So I had to watch a bunch of tutorial on how you can make them straight again without having professional tools to do it. So it turns out that you have to make cuts on the back of the wood and then enlarge these cuts or pull them together in order to distort the wood in a way that it will come flat again. It ate away 5 days of my free time. 5 days worth of free time only to do that. But it needed to be done. Which of course means that I didn't get the video out. But I didn't promise it to you last week. I didn't promise it to you. I said it might happen that it will not come out, so it's still not coming out. I really hope that I get it out this week. There is no excuses because it's been so long. It's been so long. And it's also not good for the channel because I complain about this, but things are not going to change if I don't start pushing videos out there again. But we're going to see about that. The first video that I want to come out is the Gigi video. After that, maybe I want to make one on Miz Cracker, because before the season ends, on how relatable she's been and everything around that, because a lot of people don't know it. But if I put out a video like that, I don't know what's going to happen. She has tons of fans, and what we say on the channel is not really pleasing. It's not lies because it's the truth. It's all out there for everybody to see. And if it's not that, it's personal opinions, but it's not personal attacks. But you know how YouTube is when people start complaining. So I'll think about it, see what comes out of it. So let's go on with the comment. I lost myself in a tangent again. Gianni said, she and Sherry Pie are completely different situations. Oh my god. I lost the chat, sorry. I read it too soon. Oh, Gianni said before, they are leaving this weekend. Season 13 starts filming on Monday. The final cast leaked. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know the final cast, because if I start knowing who is in there, I'm going to look them up. And when I look them up, because I am going to look them up, there is no way I'm not going to. And that will start clouding my judgment. When the season actually starts and we start doing a new season of the shop and we try to understand who they are, which kind of storylines they are, how their headed is going to evolve, who is going to be in the top, who is going to be in the bottom, it will all start clouding my judgment, like what's happening with All Stars. So if it leaked and some of you want to go out and check it out, please don't mention it. Don't mention it. It takes away from some of the fun. Emily Butler said, I got an ad tonight. Is that helpful? I'm really glad that you had it. I'm really glad that you had it. Yes, it's helpful. Every little bit helps. How much does it count? Let me see. We get about 80 cents on average for every 1,000 views. So just make 80 cents divided by 1,000 is 8.8. 0.8 cent? It's like 0.1 cent or something like that. Is it right? It's too late for doing math. I'm sorry. 80 cents divided by 1,000, 0.8. Yes, 0.08 cents. So it's like 0.1 cent. It's 1/10 of a cent. It's I know how it sounds. I know how it sounds. But put it all together. Put it all together throughout the whole channel, and that makes a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And speaking about a little bit, I tallied up the numbers. So since we got monetized, from the ad revenue from the channel, from what we got from Patreon, and on the side, what we are putting aside for actually buying stuff, we are actually doing pretty well. Because when you think about it, the expenses for the channel are basically three. We have to pay an accountant for understanding how we need to pay the taxes for the channel. Because don't forget, you need to pay taxes for the channel. And that has a cost. There is a ton of different things. And that is about $250 to $300 to set up the whole thing, so that you can actually know how to pay taxes, how to be in line with the law. These are all things that you could probably do by yourself and not spend any money with it. But you know, if you fuck it up, it's going to be a huge problem. So I personally prefer to pay someone for that. And that is about $250, let's say $300. Then we need to keep away about $500 if we need any more kind of legal counseling whenever we get copyright claims, if we can fight them, if it's worth fighting them, if we risk getting sued and so on. We need a little bit of counseling for that. So that is set away. And that is advertisement. That is income for the channel that is already there. And we are in excess of about $150 after that. So that is going to be paired up with whatever we're saving for buying this $2,000 encoding computer. So if what we start publishing in the summer goes really well, maybe by the time the year ends, we will have enough to upgrade. And once we upgrade, we are completely set. At that point, I don't give a shit if they kick us out of the partner program, if people are actually promoting the videos so that we get more advertising. I don't care about that. I care about the fact that videos will come out quicker, people will get to see them, the channel will grow, and you know, whatever it is that we like doing it, because we all have different things that we like doing it about this. Somehow some of you like to hear me talking, which is good, and I like making videos and talking about Drag Race, which is still good. And you know, we can move to the next level. We can really move to the next level because it's really dated equipment. We've been with this equipment for the past 4 years. It's run its course. It's really run its course. Moving on. Oh, Kaio Kamada posted a link. Thank you. Thank you. That RPDR channel says, me neither. I only heard that they have casted a Predator on season 12. Oh, girl. I appreciate that. I appreciate calling things for what they are. I really appreciate that. Kaio Kamada, it's chopped up because YouTube doesn't show links. Oh, you're talking about the link. Okay. Gianni, people will try to prevent Demi Sexton from getting on the season, and the girls left on Friday, so she came back on social media to show that she wasn't cast on the season. Oh, okay, this is a spoilerish talk. It was probably before I read the comment. No worries. Dixie, Rachel scrolled to the top of the chat. Oh, for the link. Amateur season. Well, will they learn not to cast a Predator? Well, they didn't know. They didn't know. And let me tell you something. When they signed the contract, there is a whole section in the contract in which the queens have to declare if they had problems with the law. It's not declared, testify, whatever it is. They have to write it down. The problem is with people like Sherry Pie, she was never actually convicted of anything. A lot of people are still discussing today if what she did was indeed a crime. And it's debatable, you know, as much as morally reprehensible it is, it's still debatable. What is not debatable is what she did with steroids. Providing steroids, it's illegal. So we will see what happens about that. I will keep you informed. If I know anything, the moment I know something about it, I will keep you informed on the whole story. Because, you know, a lot of people talked about her when it was hot to talk about her, and then stopped talking about her. That's just how it works. Amateur Season said, I love season 3 of Dragula. It was the first season I watched while it was airing. Was it a Dragula or I had a Dragula? Maybe she meant Drag Race. Gianni, she and Sherry Pie are completely different situations. Oh, you're talking about the queens possibly cast on season 13. Fantasia, no clue about season 13. Where do you all get your intel? Where do you all get your intel? I like that you call it intel. Rachel said, I cannot scroll all the way to the top. I am on mobile. Yes, the YouTube chat is completely fucked up. I cannot even scroll to the top. And, I am hosting the whole thing. What I get is the chat that happened in the last 20-25 minutes. All before that is completely lost. Maybe, not without maybe. It will appear again once the stream is finished and gets published as the video. There is the live chat replay, but I cannot see it in real time. Rachel, I'll find it later. Bye, everyone. It's probably too late, but goodbye, Rachel. Hope to see you next time. Velho asks, do you think the Queen have to play along with their edit on the show, even if they don't agree with it? Like, villains can't act like sweethearts even if they really are? That is debatable. You have to understand one thing. When you go on a show, on a reality TV show like Drag Race, okay, which is basically the only mainstream platform that you have to understand that you are in no position to dictate any kind of rules. And it's better for you if you try to play along as much as you can, because it doesn't end well if you don't. It really doesn't end well if you don't. Let's never forget Fifi O'Hara, especially after All Stars 2. Did you see what happened to her? How hard she had to work to recoup all the damage that she got because she worked against the edit during the All Stars filming. If you try to go against the edit, you will only enrage them even more. Drag Race is one of those kind of experience whenever in doubt, do nothing is the correct choice. A lot of times in real life, you always have the chance of choosing between different courses of action, but not picking any, it's in itself a course of action. And in the framework of Drag Race, that is most of the time the best course of action, because you don't have to give them material. The more you talk, the more you act, the more you speak, the more what you come out with can be used against you. So yes, I think that the queens, they are not told to go along with it. I don't think that they are so out with it and told, yes, play along with it, go with it. I don't think that's happening, but they all know that it's better if they do, especially when it comes to villains. Because, if you go against the editors, or better, if you go against the producers, when you notice that they start producing a villain, like what happened with Brita, for example, I think that it was clear for me almost since episode 1. And we had an episode of The Chop out immediately after the episode 1 aired. So it's there as living proof that that's exactly what we were thinking. But if it was clear for us that we are watching through the eyes of the editors, how clear do you think it was for the queens who were physically there that was what's going to happen to Brita, with the fucked up critiques, with the fact that everybody was trying to not ganging up on Aiden, but basically give feedback on the fact that it's not professional to sleep while your colleagues are working, and so on and so on. I think it was pretty clear. And at that point, you have two choices. Either you play along, three choices. Either you play along, or you go against it, or you go through a third choice, which is do absolutely nothing. Now, if you play along, then you are ensuring that, you are being consistent with the storylines that the producers want to tell. And if you are consistent, it means that you are controllable and you can fit in a narrative and you will give no problems, and the show can go on. But if you are going against it, then you are creating a problem, because there is a set of narratives that have probably been decided the moment casting was done. The moment they finished the casting process, which includes, by the way, a psychological evaluation that was leaked by the Vixen when she did the exposed interview. I cannot remember the guy's name on YouTube in here, but he does amazing interviews with the queens. They are all called Exposed with, and then the name of the queen. It will, if we search it on YouTube, it will come out immediately. I watched the Vixen's interview, which was really good. It was really good. I suggest every and each one of you watch it, because the Vixen is real, very real. And she spilled this, that she had to go through psychological evaluation before casting was over. So you have your casting, you have your psychological evaluation. At that point, they probably already knew who is going to be a villain, who is going to be a hero, who is going to be relatable, who is going to be a narrator. They probably have a very good idea of all of this storyline, and they start building the season. And then everyone has to fall in line. And if you don't fall in line, you understand that you are endangering a lot of work, because nobody wants to do this kind of shows on the fly and go with the flow and and adjust whatever you want to portray based on the real things that happen in real life. That's the dream that they sold to us, but that's not really the best thing that can happen from a producer's perspective. From the producer's perspective, you want to sell the dream, but in the behind the scenes, you want to have complete control of everything and know that everything it's been doing following a strict plan and a strict course, and and you want everything to be predictable, because that's what's good for business, predictability. So I hope that answers your question. Dixie says, I became a huge fan of Louisiana Purchase. Count me in. She is beautiful. She is just beautiful. Amateur Season said, I noticed an editing fluke on the Lollapalooza episode, and I don't know if anyone else caught it, but when Latrice was talking to Jasmine, I could hear that Jasmine was listening to Peanut Butter. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. I'm going to check it out. Let me write it down. Wait a moment. Let me write it down on my notes so that I don't miss it. Lollapalooza, because we might include it in the editing fails video, which we cannot call editing fail, because if we use the word fail, the video will get demonetized. So we'll have to find another name for it. But that video is basically finished. It's basically finished. Well, all the background work for that is finished. It still needs to be edited. But editing is easy. At least for that video, it's going to be easy. So, Lollapalooza, Jasmine, Latrice talking. Oh yeah, I remember that scene. It's basically when Latrice goes to Jasmine and said, "Oh, so who are you going to pick?" And then Jasmine said, "Well, I don't get to pick. I get whoever is left. I get the scraps." My God, you gotta love Jasmine Masters. She's a gift to the world. She's a gift to the world. Oh, the chat blipped again. Yep. Where were we? Where were we? Oh, here we go. Amateur Season. We need more Disasterina, Heva, Priscilla, Louisiana, Abora, Victoria Black, Loris, Mitbull, and Foxy Ajoué. We need more of every. I would love if they would do a mega episode with all the queens for the past season, Like, I don't know how they could even manage something like that, but it would be amazing. Who do I want to see more? Of all the people that you listed, Victoria Black. She was so poised. My God, Victoria Black was such a dark lady. She won me over. I'm okay with Bitch Pudding winning season 2, but Victoria was right there. She was such a dark lady. I totally lived for her. That RPDR channel says the lip sync songs were clearly rigged on Lollapalooza. Valentina did a runway walk as a cat and ended up lip syncing to Kitty Girl. Oh yes, yes, I think they knew already the songs. And I think in a way, how do they do that? Because they had these boxes. So if they did it, because we cannot say that we did it, we can allege it. They basically have the same names in all the boxes. So when they say, who do you choose? Box 1, 2, or 3? It's the same song in all the boxes. But, in a way, I thought that what they tried to do with Latrice was really, really... I don't want to say fucked up, but I cannot think of a better word. It was poorly conceived, let's say like this. First of all, because a queen like Latrice Royale is not there to pull off songs like Sissy That Walk. Sissy That Walk is not a song that will take out the best from Latrice Royale. And you can tell by the way the season was made that they anticipated that queens like Latrice might be sent home. They chose... for the winner, a queen that chose to send Latrice home because Monet won, and they chose it. Knowing exactly that they were going to have an episode in which the queens would return and they could bring back Latrice. So you know that Latrice had to win. You basically knew that lip sync was already rigged for her to come back. Problem is that Monet completely murdered Latrice. The choice of the song was absolutely terrible. It did Latrice no favor. She is not a high-energy lip syncer. She's an emotional one. She is one that will make you feel. And Sissy That Walk is not about feelings. So I was absolutely not surprised to see that Monet murdered her. She absolutely murdered her. And they cut in that lip sync. They cut out Monique so much. She had 3 reveals, and they basically cut off all of her reveals. We only saw the wig reveal. Everything else was just a tiny piece. Because if people got to see the whole performance, they would have said, Latrice, go home. You are amazing. You are my favorite queen. I love you. You are a role model, everything that you want, but you lost that lip sync. You lost it. So, yeah, there you go. Velo said, also Trinity got an ass-shaking song. Like, come on now, yes, yes. Amateur Season agrees with that. I agree with it. Everyone agrees with it. I mean, they could play it, it's... I understand the need to make a show and the need to make it the whole process as easy as possible. But come on, it's called reality. You have to put in a little bit of effort. You have to give up a tiny amount of power, At least make them choose the songs. And make them choose the song in a way that we can see without any doubt that it's not rigged. Because this thing with the boxes, they don't open the boxes afterwards. So, the doubt still lingers there. And it's the editors from RuPaul's Drag Race, the producers from World of Wonder. They've done much worse than simply shifting the name in a box. So, give up a little bit of power. A tiny bit. Come on. Dixie says, I love the Marbles video. It's some of your channel's best work. Mr. Invisible diligently watches it every day. Every day I hear the music. But it had to be done. She's the channel's mascot, at least for a while, for the moment. Now she's the channel mascot. So she needed her own video. And she's going to go to the vet next week because she started to scratch. I noticed it a couple of weeks ago. It was like a light scratching, and then she started scratching more and more. And, maybe we are being a little bit too apprehensive. But mice are such delicate animals that if you don't pick, the moment something starts to show up today, if you don't do anything tomorrow, by the time the day after tomorrow comes, you basically lost your pet. So you have to kind of act real quick, you know. And I started noticing that she was scratching very, not violently, very, she was scratching a lot. So she's going to go to a vet for a checkup. So nothing seems to be wrong. She's just going to get a checkup, you know. Maybe, you know, summer is coming. It starts to get a little bit more dry, a little bit more dusty. So there are mites in the air. And, you know, caged animals tend to get mites, especially if they are a little bit stressed. And, you know, Marble is still living alone, which is kind of stressful in a way. It's a all kind of stress all on its own. So if she is getting it, she's going to get treated. There's not going to be any problem. But, you know, we'll see. I'll keep you informed. Fantasia said, the fact that she stays in there is amazing. Oh, you're talking about the cage. Well, you know, a lot of people seem to not know this, but mice are really smart animals, like really, really smart. And I'm not just saying because I have them. I'm saying it because I also had hamsters. And there is absolutely no comparison because mice have a very strong sense of gravity. And they understand heights, and they are really good in balancing. That's why they have such a long tail. They use it for balancing. That's also why I included a piece in the video in which you actually see her moving the tail to balance herself on a branch of the tree. So they understand heights, and so they do not jump off of the cage. So you can leave the cage open, which is always great whenever you're dealing with, you know, with animals that basically live in a cage, because it's still a cage. You know, it's big, it's an environment, but it's still a cage. So what happens is that if they're not very well aerated, you have risks of molds, you have risks of infection developing. Also for the animal, they don't really have a good airflow, so it can create breathing problems. So if you can have an open cage, it's so much better. It's more clean, it's safer for the animal, and you can do this with mice, but they don't have to be like special mice. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get special mice who tend to move in a peculiar way. So if you get a special mouse, then it's going to be a problem. And we had a special mouse. When was it? A year and a half ago. We had a special mouse, and she used to fall off the cage. So I had to create heights, boundaries around the cage that she couldn't actually jump off, because she had this twitching jumping. So at some point she would just add a twitch and make a jump. And, you know, luckily they are small animals, so gravity works differently for them. So even though it's a meter fall, there is a thick carpet under it. So there was no problem. But, you know, when we had her, we always had a little spot with food and water on the floor, that if for some reason, even with the new boundary, she would fall out the cage, at least she would have food and water. You know, she was a special mouse. So you can leave it open, but it has to be adult mice, like mice that are 2, 3, 4 months old. Baby mice, they still don't understand gravity very well. Their senses are not really well developed, so you cannot have an open cage. And if you have hamsters, absolutely forget it, because hamsters are cute, but they're really stupid. They will just fall off. They will just keep falling off. That's what happens. Kayo Kamada still, I'm still dead from pop the hemorrhoid and feed the children. Oh my god. Fantasia says, people are going to go crazy on you. John Young said it would be channel suicide. Oh, we're talking about the Miz Cracker video. Yes, I know that. I know that. But in a way, isn't that amazing that you cannot make fun of public people who put themselves in a public show and then contradicted themselves in real life? And you cannot even make fun of it, you know? It's not even pointing a finger and say, oh, that's bad. It's making fun of it. But you cannot do it. You cannot do it. I agree. I agree with that. So I'll have to think about it. You know what would probably happen if I cannot resist the urge to make it? Then maybe I will keep it only between us. You know, I will probably post it on BitChute or another backup channel somehow. Kyle Kamada said, I didn't go to fucking school for math. You talk about the 0.8 cents? 0.08 cents per view. Velho, if they're filming now, imagine all the Rona restriction affecting the filming process. They gotta widen the runway or have a maximum of 4 queens on the runway at all times. Well, that depends on a lot of things. It mostly depends on the kind of rules that they have in the place where they film at the moment of filming. So this kind of rules depend also not just on the state. Sometimes they depend on the county in which you're in or the city in which you're in. What I think the likely thing that's going to happen is that they got a permit. They will probably have everyone tested, and for the duration of filming, they will basically all of them, they will be basically quarantined. So that if someone contracts something, they cannot pass it on. So what's going to happen is that either all the filming crew, all the people behind the scenes, the producers, the talent handlers, the judges, they will either have to be quarantined themselves or wear masks at all times. But for the queens, I don't think so. Because imagine filming reality television while keeping social distancing. I think it's madness. It's undoable. But we're going to see about that. Maybe they will say something. They will publish something. If, you know, RuPaul bothers to reactivate its social media accounts and maybe talk to us a little bit. John Young says, after the Midnight in the Library video was removed, it became very difficult to find your channel. Yes, I know. And it's going to be like that for months. Because the strike is still there. It will take months for expire. And, you know, we're also in a situation in which we are vulnerable. Because, you know, when you get a third strike, your channel goes down and you lose it. And that's how it's going. There's not much that you can do about it. And for these kind of strikes, you cannot even appeal them anymore. The only thing that you can do is to start a legal battle in the United States, win the legal battles, no matter how long it takes, and after that, then YouTube will reinstate the channel. Will have to. Unless, of course, they find out that for some reason you violated some community guidelines and blah, 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 and your channel stays down anyway. And we've seen that happen to a lot of other channels, especially when it came from video going down. You had channels with video going down because it was considered to be bullying. Then they review it and find out it's not bullying. And then the video continues to go down because it violated community guidelines on safety for some reasons. They will do whatever they want. So, you know, if it happens, it happens. When we started the streams and I started to actually talk to you guys and have a more of a direct connection, I made it very clear that we're going to manage this channel and have fun with it and do what we like to do with it, knowing very well that it could end up tomorrow. So we're not going to hold back so much thinking that, oh well, but maybe this will injure the channel in the long view. No, that starts to make it stressful. That starts to make it feel like work. And, you know, we already have jobs out of this. We don't need another one, especially one when we don't even get the basic human treatment that a working human should have, like knowing the rules and having rules that do not change every other day. So we're going to see about that. Caio says, there is a Brazilian drag competition called TNT Drag, and it's all being done from home. So maybe it's what it's being done. No, I don't think so. They would never do it. It would never sell. Not in a year. you know, because eventually we're going to go. This quarantine thing is going to end. I mean, here in Europe where I live, life is basically going back to normal. What we are keeping is masks in public places, especially if they are crowded public places or closed public places. Like, for example, if you go to a bakery to buy something, if you go out for groceries, if you go in a pharmacy, everywhere it's a closed place, you need to keep the mask on. But everything else is business as usual. So, you know, maybe by the time next year comes, we don't even get to wear masks anymore. Maybe it comes out that this thing, it's less dangerous than anybody thought. So even without knowing, maybe we were all developed an immunity on it already, and there will be no need for that. We'll see. We'll have to see. But you have to understand, from a business perspective, doing that kind of show is not only expensive, but it's not probably going to be very profitable. It's still Drag Race, but it's going to be unconventional Drag Race. And the last thing that you want is a nosedive in the ratings when people find out that it's not going to be what they want. That RPDR channel says, on Mexico, there's one called Toma Mi Dinerita. Bring me dinner? How much a season? No, I meant Dragula. Oh my god, I'm so late with the comment. I'm like half an hour behind. Kayo Kamada, Cameron did that and it kind of worked out for her, I guess. Oh yes, you're talking going on with playing along with the storylines. Yes. Amateur season, which is why I would keep a list of my confessionals for each episode/day. Keep a list. Oh, if you compete, you mean? Oh my god, it's going to get. I don't even want to think about it. The level of control that you have to have in order to trying to do your best not to be portrayed as a villain, it's so stressful to me. I would never do it. I would never compete in a reality television show. Never. Never. I mean, I'm not even showing my face here on YouTube, and it's my channel. So imagine that. Imagine me on a reality TV show. My God. Fantasia at Amateur Season. Look at you sounding like Willem. Oh, God. Where are we? Dixie, Vix's interview with who? Kayo Kamada, I'm quirking and relatable. Amateur Season Top 10 Editing Missteps. That's a good one. Wait a moment. I'm writing it down. Amateur Season, you're on a roll today. I was also thinking of something like the best editing magic on Drag Race, because we have a lot of teleporting and makeup coming on and off and a lot of this thing in that video. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we vote. Maybe we vote on the title. Why not? Why not? Where are we? Kayo Kamada, there is no RuPaul song that is good for a lip sync. Oh my god, you bitch. You bitch. Come on, there are good ones. There are some good ones. Like, well, okay, you got your answer. Dixie. Yes, a Dragula reunion. Did anyone watch Psycho Psychiatrist with Disaster Arena? No, I didn't watch it. But I listen to Here Comes the Choo Choo pretty often. It's one of my wake-up morning songs. Amateur Season. Gia versus Naomi should have been a double Shantae. Yes. Yes, they did such a great job. They did such a great job. But can you imagine? Can you imagine an episode in which Latrice doesn't come back? Monique murders Latrice in a lip sync. And Gia gets a double Shantae. Can you imagine that? The madness of it? I mean, it would have been great television. Great television. But in order to make great television, you also have to have a good pair of balls, because you're taking a huge risk. Something can pay off really good, or it can be a complete catastrophe. And the more commercial a show becomes, and this is true for any kind of commercial property, the less you are likely to take risks, because the money on the table is so much more. It's so much more. So it was not going to happen. It was not going to happen. But maybe things like this will start happening. We can joke about this, but if the rating starts to go really down, like 10% of what they are today, then there might be an incentive to actually start doing this kind of things. Corelio said, "I'm back. What I missed? Did you clock the shady edit on India from last week?" Shady edit from... did she get a shady edit? India? Well, we discussed about it. Last week, but there was no India this episode, was there? We didn't see any kind of throwback or so. I don't know. Corelio disagrees. Said Gia had the energy, but didn't know the words. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't notice that. But then again, I'm not native in English, so it's kind of difficult for me to read the lips. Even though I know how they are supposed to move, it's still a little bit difficult to me. Dixie, oh dear, prayer for marble. You can't be too careful. Please let us know. Don't worry, Dixie. Don't worry. It's nothing. I don't think it's anything to be really worried about. But you have to understand this. When I go to the vet and pay the vet for a visit to Marble, I'm not really paying because I think that she really has something. I'm paying for my peace of mind. Because if she does, in the unlikely case that she does have something, I don't want future me to look back at present me and ask me, why the fuck did you not pay 25 euros for a visit? So that money is there to buy a piece of our minds. I don't think she has anything, but you don't want to have any regrets in the unlikely case that she does have something. Kaukamada, if you go back and look at Naomi when Gia is shown not knowing the words, Naomi is also off, because it's just edited to make Gia look like she's lost. Oh, bitch. My god, you guys are on a roll tonight. I'm going to look back at it. Naomi, Gia lip sync, fucked up edit. Check lip sync. My god, you guys are good. It's all good material, We can all use it. Amateur season. Quarantine didn't really affect me since I live in the country. Well, good for you. Good for you. We had kind of a hot minute in a big city. We had a hot minute. Lisbeth Paulino. Torna mi dinerita. Spanish for take my money. Take my little money if you picky. Okay, take my money. Oh, the name of the show. The name of the show. Oh, dinero. Dinero. That's money. In Spanish? Portuguese? Whatever it is. Where's the chat? Where's the chat? Scroll. Amateur Season said, I would love to be on Drag Race. Bless your soul. You have all of my support. You have all of my support. That's a kind of experience that you can never, ever be prepared enough to do. Not just Drag Race, but any kind of reality television. And I think that what's impacting most of the people is this kind of out of body experience, that you are there, you are seeing how things are going, you are doing your thing, you are you are doing your filming, everybody is there, and whatever it is, and then they take 6 months for editing, and then you look at yourself and you see a person that you know it's not you. And that kind of experience, that feels like an out of body experience to me. It feels like a kind of schizophrenic experience, and something that can be really hard to deal with if you're not properly prepared for. I would never do something like that. Never. And I'm not 20. And I still would never do that. No. You have to be really desperate or being a huge risk taker to do something like that. Reality TV is some of the biggest gambles that you can take when approaching trying to become mainstream. I don't know if I would do it. And I'm glad that I'm not in that kind of position, in that line of business in which you can say, well, I should kind of take this opportunity. I would regret not taking this opportunity and try to make it big. But no, I wouldn't do it. Lisbeth Polino said, you really should watch La Más Draga. It's a Mexican YouTube drag competition, but they work asses of making it real and presenting the real artistic part of drag. I'll write it down. Write it down in Más Draga on YouTube. I'll write it down. If I have time, I'll check it out this week. Amateur Caesar said, my mom was so angry at Disaster Arena's elimination. Well, me too. But in a way, she kind of deserved it. You could see it coming, but she was such a character. You know what they should have done with Disaster Arena? They should have brought her in as a permanent judge in the judging panel. Can you imagine? It would be majestic. Presenting Dragula, judging the Boulet brother and Disaster Arena. My God, Disaster Arena. She is a disaster, is she? And Amateur Season continues. I want India to come back for an early out season where she can truly show her talents. Well, at this point, I don't think we're never going to get any kind of these seasons. It would have been nice, when the show moved to VH1 and suddenly it looked like there was never enough Drag Race around. They made this decision of having basically an all-star season coming out every year. And I was under the impression that they would do one like every 4 years, at best every 2 years. And, they had this decision to make when they decided that, yes, there is market for more Drag Race. We can make a ton of money out of this, so we need something additional to accompany the normal seasons of Drag Race. And they could have gone that way. They could have had like every year, every other year, they could have had All-Stars. And every other year, they could have had one of these kind of seasons, like the best Judy's Drag Race or the early out Drag Race, and do all of this kind of season that you do on your channel. It would have been a great idea, and I think people would have tuned in much more than for All Stars, because these are all interesting stories that are all waiting to be told. The problem is, when you do All Stars, you have a pool of 120 queens. So if some of these queens say no, and mind you, a lot of queens say no to All Stars. Ben de la Creme said no to All Stars 2. Nina Bonina said no to All Stars 5. All of these queens, and many, many others that I simply don't know or I cannot recall anymore, but many queens get the call and they say, no, I don't want to come. Who's on? No, I don't want to be on a season with this queen because this of this and this reason, so I'll pass on. Some will simply say, for Bendel Krem and All Stars 2, for example, when she knew that Alaska was on and Katya was going to be on, she just said, no, they're just going to outshine me. So, no, I don't want to come. And that, I think, that's what's happening. Nina Bonina came out and said it out loud. She didn't want to be on the same All-Star season with Shay because she was afraid the producer would try to make a storyline out of it. So a lot of queens say no. But you have a pool of 120 queens, so you can afford to have some queens say no. But when you do an early out season, right now we are on season 12, so you have only 12 queens to choose from. And if 3 or 4 of them say no, then you don't have a show anymore. Then again, you also have the possibility of doing many other kind of seasons, so that also gives you an edge. And it gives you a choice. But, it starts to become really difficult because you have to contact, for example, all the Miss Congeniality. Are you all on for doing a Miss Congeniality season? Well, 8 are in and the other 4 are not. Okay, then let's do an early out. How many do we have in? Well, we have 9. Okay, what do we do? A season with 9 people? No, let's move on. Let's do a season with the lip sync assassins. How many lip sync assassins do we have? Well, a little bit more. You have about a couple. For each episode, it's 24. So you start to see where this is going. It's going to be good for us to watch, but a mess to prepare for. Corelio said, I was last week's Untucked when I said Alexis was fixing her dress, looking at the couch, and India was behind her. I said that it was in the past live stream. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. It's, Corelio. I'm going to make a stream at some point during the afternoon when I'm actually awake for the whole stream. But you know how it gets. I basically have the clarity of mind to just do the main part of the mainstream. Whenever we get to the Kiki zone, I'm basically gone. I'm as well as gone. I will not understand 90% of whatever is going on. Amateur season. What is your favorite forgotten queen? That is a good question. And also a different one. Because if by favorite you mean that I would fuck, I would tell you Magnolia Crawford. Without any doubt. Without any doubt. But favorite saying that I think she was entertaining, that I would like to see more of her, it has to be Jade Sotomayor. It has to be her. Mostly because I've been wanting to see more of her for 12 years. And, she was the original queen coming out in confessionals saying that somebody else was full of shit. So you gotta get her an award for that. So yeah, it has to be Jade. Kayo Kamada, off topic, but can we have a moment to appreciate Jimbo and how great she is? Who the hell is Jimbo? Who is Jimbo? Not Jim Doe. Google. Jimbo. No, Jimbo. Jindo. Wait a moment. Wait a moment. Jimbo. Jimbo Jones from The Simpsons? Oh, wait a moment. Maybe if I Google Jimbo and drag, it will come out. Oh, she's a drag queen on Drag Race Canada. My God, I'm so bad at this. I am so bad at this. I will never recall the names from the queens. There is no way. When I decided to make the chop for season 12, it took me 2 days to learn all the queens' names. I had to have their face there with the name and make like kind of cards for me to remember them, because I couldn't afford to come on live stream and not being able to know the names of the queens. And I still forget them. So there was absolutely no way that I would know the names of the queens on Drag Race Canada, because I'm not even watching it diligently as I should. Well, not as I should, but if I was covering it, yes, I should. But I noticed something about Drag Race Canada. The names are completely crazy about the names on Drag Race Canada. And you had RuPaul complaining about Heidi's name. Can you think if she had to deal with the names of the queens on Drag Race Canada? They are completely crazy. They are this name like Taomi, whatever it is. That's a crazy name. Let me look them up. They are crazy names. In a way that they are horrible names. In a way, they sound so bad. Like Ilona Verley and Anastasia Anakwe. Can you imagine RuPaul talking to a queen and say, okay, now we have Anastasia. Is it Anastasia or Anastasia? My God. Tainomi Banks. So funny. To me, it's so funny. I come from a generation where every Drag Race name had to be a pun, like Bendova, or Sharon Needles. So these names are completely crazy to me. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, it's names. It's names. But what I find it funny is that take a note. Whenever you watch the next episode of Drag Race Canada, whenever Brooklyn comes out and talks to Anastasia, you can really see that Brooklyn, she is measuring her words to not fuck up the name. She's like, Anastasia Anakwe or Anakwe or whatever the hell is pronounced. It's crazy names. It's so crazy. I would never learn them. Next up, what do we have? Amateur season. I'm not a huge risk taker, but I want to see what it's like and try it out. Well, you will start to become as you age. You will start to get in that sort of age where risk taking is part of the normal development of any human being. So maybe you will start taking more risks. I hope for you that it's going to be healthy ones and measured ones. But Drag Race, it's not a kind of experience that I would that I would actually tell people. If I was living in the U.S. and I had drag queen friends, I would not go so lightly as telling them, why don't you audition? If they were to audition, then I would surely have a talk with them and make them understand a couple of things and something that they should absolutely do. Like, for example, anybody auditioning for Drag Race for me should book at least half a dozen of therapy sessions. Because, these people make you go through a psychological examination. They know who you are better than you do. Because, people think of psychological examination and they think about what they see on TV. They think about a therapist talking and knowing things, and it's not that. It's not that. A psychological examination is a series of tests which have been shown to be statistically significant. Okay, it's like when for example I pick up my voltmeter to measure the voltage on a circuit. It is one of my hobby. And I have a precise instrument that will tell me precisely which kind of value is there with a tiny bit of error with it. And that is the same thing that they do when they do psychological examinations. So they know who you are even better than you know yourself. So for anyone who wishes to audition to Drag Race, I would definitely say go to a therapist. Invest a couple $1,000s and take a couple months to go to a therapy session and understand who you are, what makes you click, what can work against you, what can work for you, and let's battle at the same level with these people, with the producers. It can be a kind of a traumatic experience depending on the kind of edit that you're going to have, on the kind of storyline that they want you to have. And the last thing that I want is to see people being emotionally and personally drained for years. For years. Let's not. Fifi O'Hara has been going through things for 8 years only because she lost her cool for 3 days. Because that's what happened. She completely lost it for 3 days. She had a fight with Willem on day 1, then she had a fight with Willem again, and then she had something going on with eliminating Jiggly, and a lot of other people were in on it, and that's what she had. Pair it up with the fact that she still had a lot of maturing to do. She was still basically a kid when she was in there. She came from a difficult environment. She developed her persona in a difficult environment, and she was bearing the marks of it. And that basically completely destroyed her and still injures her on a personal level every day today. And it's been 8 years later. So how could I go lightly on one of my friends and say, yes, why don't you go on Drag Race without having a serious series of talks with them to make them perfectly understand what they're getting into? Because, sometimes the best thing to do is do what the Vixen did. She auditioned once when she was really, really young, and she wasn't prepared, and they didn't take her. And then she made the conscious decision not to audition, to prepare herself. That is still in the interview, by the way, the exposed interview. And I heard you watch it. It's really good. Don't be turned off by the fact that it's a Vixen. She can be abrasive. It's true. It's true. That's just who she is. But if you go beyond it, it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. It's a good piece of entertainment done properly. John Young says, do you think that Drag Race Canada could eventually overtake the U.S. RuPaul's Drag Race in popularity? Yes. Because one topic that we bring on this channel a lot is how the show has changed since it went mainstream. And there is a huge market that still want many things that are not showcased on Drag Race anymore. So if the producers on Out TV, not on Out TV, sorry, the producing company for Drag Race from Drag Race Canada is another. It's wait a moment, I'll tell you, because I have it here. It's produced by Blue Ant Studios. Okay, so if the producers at Blue Ant Studios are smart enough and they want to take the risk, yes, they could eventually overtake it. For all that I know, if Dragula wasn't so much about horror, it would have already overtaken Drag Race, in my opinion, because that's how higher the quality is. In a way, sorry for the blunt language, but it's also been 2 hours, 3 hours in the stream. Most of the time, whenever I watch a Drag Race today, it looks to me like a polished turd. Unfortunately, when I see some of this, the bad way it's been produced, the lazy way in which it's been produced and then polished it out as this shiny things, it looks like a polished turd. It has no soul. It has no soul. Not anymore. So it stays there as a reminder, as a shell of something that it once were, and it's not anymore. So yes, if any other show can do the things that RuPaul's Drag Race used to do, yes, they can eventually overtake it. And at some point you also have to understand, the world fell in love with drag, but the world didn't really know what drag was. So the boom that we have seen in the past years will not be repeated. because whenever a new show comes out, it will come out in an environment in which people know what drag is. So it will not have this novelty effect that RuPaul's Drag Race had. So no other drag show will ever be as successful as Drag Race has been. But that is because it's a matter of times. So when I would take as a measure of comparison the ratings for Drag Race in 2 to 3 years. And that would be a fair comparison for future seasons of other shows. You know, to say it's become better, it's become more famous. But not right now, because there is this novelty effect that it's basically pushing the show so much. Corellia said, imagine a show featuring Disasterina, Jimbo, and Tammy Brown. We are not worth it. Oh my god, I don't understand why people don't do things like this. Even just on YouTube, you know, make a mini-series, make something like the Boulet brothers did. Do you remember season 1? It was basically produced by the Hey Queen show, and it was done in a club. They had this tiny dressing room. Everything was so amateur. It was so raw and so beautiful. I don't understand why they don't do something like that. I think they're sitting on a gold mine and not taking advantage of it. Amateur Season agrees. That would be iconic. I agree as well. It would be so iconic. Iconic. Oh my god, iconic. Where's the chat? I lost the chat again. Oh, there we go. Corelio said, Valentina said no to All Stars 3, and Shay said no to All Stars 4. There you see. There you see. There you go. I heard that, but I completely forgot about it. Yes, a lot of queens say no. Amateur Season said, Laganja said she would come back for All Stars 6. Did she? I would not like to see Laganja on All Stars. I don't think it's a good environment for her. She is not really doing her any favor. She spent so much energy to rebuild herself, and she did a great job after season 6. I don't think she should come back for All Stars. They are just, you know what they do? You know what this kind of lazy production would do to queens like Laganja? The same thing that they tried to do with Roxy, the same thing that they did with Fifi, the same thing that they did with Latrice, and Latrice was a fan favorite. She still is, but you know, that run on All Stars definitely put a spot on her image. Corellia said, Willem said no to all of them. JK. Kaio Kamada, it would be so crazy and extra. We really don't deserve it. Yeah, you're talking about the season with Disasterina, Jimbo, and Tammy Brown. Oh, Jimbo! Now I get who Jimbo is. Yeah, she's crazy. She's completely. I'm living for her. She's completely crazy. Amateur Season said, Willem said yes to All Stars 1, but she was removed 40 hours before the show, and Mimi took her place. Can you imagine how it feels at the time to have Mimi take your place? I mean, no disrespect, but think about it for a moment. Think about it. Let it sink in. Dixie, I'm back. I took my fur buddy out for some sun. That's good. That's good. Oh yes, it's afternoon there. Here it's like 2 in the morning. But it's afternoon there. Corelio, I know that was trashy to Willem. She lost a lot of pride. Jade Sotomayor, yes, I need more of her too. Oh my god, am I so behind with the chat? Oh, no, it's like, yeah, it's 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes. I lose myself too much. Dixie, I would love to appreciate Jimbo from Drag Race Canada. Am I reading it correctly? Amateur season, I'm just gonna make a video with Jade Sotomayor called Jade Sotomayor's Drag Race. Yes, please do. There is never enough Jade. There's never enough Jade. Who knows who she is right now? I don't really follow her. I don't have time to follow all of these different people. At some end of the spectrum, you gotta make a choice who you have time to follow, who you don't have time to follow. Kaio Kamada, Jimbo and Rita Baga are the front runners so far. My God, every time I think of Rita Baga, the name that comes to my mind is Bag of Shits, because that's how people on Reddit called Baga after she made some questionable political choices or political statements. They go Bag of Shits, which I think it's really amusing. It will never get out of my mind. So for me, she's a Rita Bag of Shits. Amateur season, I like Heidi's name. Everybody like Heidi's names, most of all because it's Heidi's name. Kaio Kamada, Ru would just say, can I call you Jiggly? Yes. Anastasia. Corelio, Tainomi seems to be a mix of Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell. Yes, it took me like 2 weeks to get there, but I got there. I eventually got there. The weirdest one for me is Scarlett Bobo. Bobo means dumb in Portuguese, but I love her. Dixie, Amateur, I was very upset when Disasterina went home. She's a legendary monster queen, or maybe I should say queen of camp. She is legendary, and most of all, she's a straight queen. Or is she? Bi? But she has a wife, which is incredible. It's incredible to me. We never had a straight queen, have we? Before Disasterina. All Utah. Goddamn, it's 3 at night in Ukraine and I'm watching it. Happy to stumble upon your podcast. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see that there is people like us at this time in the night still listening. Yeah, we do it for people in the U.S. and Canada and Brazil and the Americas. Basically, they are the vast majority of the viewers, so it comes at this time in the night. I'm basically half asleep myself, so I'm not sure how much good of a content you're still going to get. Dixie, I agree the queens should have therapy for themselves by a counselor who has watched Drag Race. Well, that would come with a premium for a counselor who has also watched Drag Race. But they should get counseling. I cannot stress that enough. If you're going to embark in something that can turn your life around for a decade, yes, you should definitely invest in therapy. Give up one couture dress for the runway and get some therapy. That will definitely help. Amateur Season says Drag Race is an experience and it's 7:50 p.m. in an undisclosed area. My God, we live in the same place. We just have a time differential, but I live in an undisclosed area as well. Kaio Kamada, I would not go on Drag Race because I have days where I'm just in a horrible mood, and I would never get any camera even close to me in those days. Yes, I know. I can definitely relate to that, especially in this period. My God, some days I wake up, I should just get out of the house and don't talk to anyone. Don't talk to anyone. Utah, to be honest, I enjoy Drag Race Thailand so much more now. Much less drama, much more creative. Thumb up, I completely agree with that. It's a gem that I still have there. I watched clip of it. I have a complete set of how can I say, official statements for Mr. Invisible, praising it and praising it and praising it, but I haven't watched it yet. It's a hidden gem for those dark days, and I'm planning to keeping it that way. Caio Camada, 9 p.m. here in Brazil. Amateur season. Now I just have an image of producers putting nail polish on a turd and calling it a day. Yes. But that's what I think it's happening. You know, they like filming and they say, well, we didn't have much conversation this. Who gives a shit? Take a confessional from 3 episodes ago. That's good. Put it in. It's okay. Perfect. Polish it. Do we have filters on Rue? We can still our hairline. Okay, good. Perfect. Polish it. Good. Dixie, medicating. LOL. Is too big a part of La Ganja Estranja's experience. I'm sure they are told not to pack such items. I think that may have been a part of the breakdown she had during her season. Oh, you're talking about the fact that La Ganja was high. She was not the only one. Aja came out and said she was... I think she said she was on mushrooms. But don't take my word for it, because I'm not sure I'm even quoting it correctly. But she said she was on something when she was on All Stars. And that's why she had this big red eyes in the confessionals and she was completely out of it. There was a confessional from All Stars 4. No, from All Stars 3, sorry. With Aja, when Bendel Krem is lip syncing against Bibi, and suddenly Bibi takes off her wig. And Aja goes on with, girl, keep your wig on, you're not Sasha Velour. And look at her in that confessional. You can see that her eyes are completely wandering around. Her head is twitching around. She looks high as a kite. She looks high as a kite. Caio Camada, someone had to go home first, as Yara Sofia would say. I think I'm missing something there. Amateur season. I want an all-started season where queens who failed All Stars can return for their final chance at the crown. That's so much. That's so much hair time. Can you imagine queens like, I don't know, Shangela came out for a 4th time? No. As much as I can never have enough of some queens, I would like to see queens who never even had a proper shot at Drag Race to begin with. Queens from season 1 and season 2 and even some from season 3. I mean, think of queens like Jade, for example, or think of queens like Jessica Wilde. I mean, can you imagine if someone like Jessica Wilde was in a season like season 12? Can you imagine not crowning her? Or can you imagine the impact she would have? And yet we are here today and nobody even remembers who she is. Some people even don't know who she is. I would much prefer to get all these resources and this time and bring it on these queens, because some of them are really amazing and they have been really working their ass off, and even much more than some of the more mainstream queens. And I think, they should get a spot. They deserve a spot. Dixie, I agree, never enough Jade. I saw her on a video a few months back and she looked beautiful. Look up Muffy Flash Basket. That goes on the notes. And I need a little bit of a vape. Amateur season. I love living in an undisclosed area. And La Ganja is an icon, and I love her. But why haven't we seen Jara, it's pronounced Jara, on All-Star season yet? Well, I think they are kind of thinking they don't want to bring too many queens from All Stars 1 all together back. It would be too crowded. I already thought that bringing Latrice and Manila together, it was a little bit too much already. You know, it feels about right with just Jujubee in this season, for example. That feels about right. So I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, it's also my privilege not to make this decision and to just judge them. You know, it's kind of a privilege. So, but if it was up to me, yes, I would absolutely bring back all these older queens. So many of them really, really worked hard and deserve a little bit of exposure. Even if it's, you know, just the bland storyline Drag Race exposure, they still deserve it. It's, you know, think of queens like Ongina. She's been there for two episodes. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. A lot of people had no idea who Ongina was because they think, well, it's season 1, it's so different, it's difficult to find, it doesn't look good, it's underproduced, it's amateur. They just don't watch it. But you have to understand one thing: these people are not fanatic like us, but they pay the bills for these queens as much as we do. And if we want to be real about it, they are the vast majority. So, you know, so in a way, they are the ones who are really paying the queen's bills, or at least the vast majority of the queen's bills. So it would be good. It would be really good to have some exposure for this younger, sorry, not younger queens, for these Hurley queens. Kaio Kamada, oh my god, we've hit the bottom of the chat. We did. It's the first time, is it? That we do it so soon. Which is good. It means I'm going to bed. No, but seriously, I'm going to bed soon. I'm pretty tired today. Amateur season. When I'm talking about a season like an all-started season, I'm talking about it for fun. Oh, you're talking about like a fan-made thing. Yeah, but that is another thing, you know. That is another thing. But for the main show, I don't know. Dixie, Jara was on All Stars 1, partnered with Alexid, and she had quite a breakdown. Did she on All Stars? She had one on season 3 when she threw away the lip sync. On All Stars, she kind of had this moment where she, during the lip sync again, she took Alexis's place because they had this thing that they could switch the lip sync. Yes, that was that. Corelio, Alexis was on All Stars 1 too. Oh my god, yes. You see? It's that time of the night where I completely lose it. Well, but that's just because Alexis feels fresh to me. So, she wasn't on any season before. Oluta, interesting enough, I enjoy a lot of queens who were on All Stars. Out of All Stars more. I hope it makes sense. More mainstream like Trixie and Katya I adore out of Drag Race environment. Tammy Brown also. Well, that's not an unpopular opinion, actually. Because, you know, as people start to understand more and more that Drag Race is a game show. It's not real life. It's not realistic by any stretch of the imagination. It's reality, which, you know, at the beginning people struggle to understand the difference, but realistic and reality are two different things, two very different things. So people also start to understand that the fact that you were not appealing on Drag Race, or you were not good at the Drag Race game, doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful or you're not talented outside of Drag Race. Drag Race, it's like it can, you know, it puts a light on you. It shines on you, and whatever it catches, it catches. But for a moment, people know that you exist, and they see what they see on Drag Race. But the moment people start to understand that it's a game, it's television, they will also think, okay, I've seen this queen on Drag Race. I didn't care much about her, but I'm going to check her out anyway, because, you know, let's see. I know she exists. I have nothing better to do. The video maybe I was on YouTube and was suggested to me, so I watch it, which is still a good thing. And that's exactly the case for queens like Trixie. I think Trixie was horrible at the Drag Race game. I mean, when season 7 ended, by the time it ended, I was like, what's all this fuss about Trixie Mattel? Whatever she was doing on Drag Race, girl, it was not good. It was not good. It was not entertaining. It didn't seem really fitting. But then we got to know her outside of Drag Race and understood that she is a bitch. She is a talented bitch. So, and she is shined out outside of Drag Race like very, very few queens did. I mean, I would argue that not even Alaska is at Trixie's level anymore. Trixie and Katya are a phenomenon that went completely mainstream with the show, more than many other queens did. In some ways, even more than Bianca Del Rio. And you know how I feel about Bianca Del Rio. But, you know, you have to admit some kind of evidence. Of course, they also appeal to slightly different fan bases, so it's difficult to make a comparison. Because, you know, Bianca is an insult comic, and she's a smart insult comic, so she tends to appeal more to a more mature audience. While Trixie and Katya has this, they have this Hoon show on WoW Presents that tends to appeal to a much younger audience. So it's really difficult to make a comparison. But if we're simply going by numbers, I think that there is no phenomenon like Trixie Mattel and Katya at all. And while Katya was kind of good, well, really good at a Drag Race game, Trixie was absolutely awful. Even when she came back for All Stars. I mean, that last lip sync, the one that she won, it was terrible. You know, it was terrible. But that's not her talent. You know, lip syncing on Drag Race to emotional songs is not what she does. It's not what she excels at. John Young asks, why does Mama Ru agree to villain edits for Queens of Color? Well, you have to understand one thing. She is not in a position to 100% agree or disagree, because she's on a round table with many other producers, and they are all in for making money. But they all have to agree on things. You cannot afford to put your foot down on everything. So what I think is that she absolutely doesn't give a shit. She's there for the check and the check only. And if some hacks have to be broken, so be it. Who cares? This is what I think happens. But if you want to give her the benefit of the doubt, then you also have to understand that she's not the only producers. Between producers and executive producers and assistant producers, there is almost 50 people there. Now, the people in a position of actual power, there are probably half a dozen. And one of them is RuPaul, who probably has the most leverage because it's still RuPaul's Drag Race. But then again, this is a mainstream show. And you have to understand that when you look at the big numbers, which are not the moral numbers, which are not our numbers, these are the big statistical numbers, then you will find out that a good half of the American population, if not a majority, has a racial bias and understand the racial bias and goes along with their life with a racial bias and feels comfortable with a racial bias. I mean, look at the President of the United States. So when you are trying to appeal to the big numbers, some things need to check out. And I think that what's happening on Drag Race and the vilification of queens of color, especially African Americans queens, has everything to do with that. It has everything to do with that, because don't forget, they have psychological evaluation. What I think is happening is villains just don't happen to be there. They are cast to be villains. Whenever a queen comes out of the psychological evaluation as being judgmental, as being impulsive, as being close-minded, that's a perfect candidate for being a villain. And you know, these tests are very accurate. They are over 95% statistically accurate. So, you know, when you present an African American queen, an outspoken, impulsive, and judgmental African American queens as a villain, then the majority of your viewership, or at least a good half of it, is going to easily accept that and not question it. And that's what you're looking for when you are producing reality television. You don't want people to question the reality of it. You know, because you are producing reality television. You're selling the dream that what people are watching is real life. And you have to convince them. And one of the things that convinced them the most is confirmation of their biases, no matter the kind of bias. Racial bias is just one kind of bias, but there are many other biases that are pushed through the show. Like, for example, being judgmental, judging things only based on appearances. That is one of the bias that is pushed during the show. And, you know, people buy it because people are accustomed to it. It's entertainment. It's not really made to make you reflect on things. It's made to entertain you mindlessly. Now, the fact that we talk about it and we eviscerate the show and we try to understand all of these things, we do it because we are fanatics of the show. It's not just entertainment to us. You know, it's not just entertainment. That's why we do it. But from the point of view of a producer, it's not that. It's money. And it has to entertain, and yes, it has to be easy, and it has to be digestible, and that is digestible. And and if you think it's brutal, that's because it is. You know, the reality of business is brutal. Because when it comes to money, that's when you really see, that's when the real color of people starts shining. You really see, because when it's about money, there's basically no morality at all. That's how capitalism works. At its core, that's what it is. Morality comes only into place if it's going to affect the income. If it's going to affect your profits, then it has a role. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. I hope I didn't go too much on a tangent about this, but you know, this is really a naked nerve for me. You know, I feel it a lot because it's just so brutal. It's just so brutal. Kyle Kamada, I don't think Rue cares anymore about none of the queens and the show. Yeah, I completely agree with that. She has checked out. She has completely checked out. At least that's how she looks. I mean, the fact that she completely retweeted from social media, I mean, and she can afford a publicist. So if she wanted to still be on social media and show any kind of support to whoever she wanted to show it, she has the means to do it the proper way. She's not doing it. So that must mean something. Amateur season, Jocelyn Fox. Yes. I didn't mention her because we have an episode on her. So yes, Jocelyn Fox as well. She deserves a spot on All Stars. Kawakamada, she is just there for the cash and the contract. Yeah. The cash, the contract, the royalties, the fame. Well, who knows what her motivations are. But you know what I find strange? I mean, I don't know Rue, okay? I don't really think that I have a reliable perception of who she is. So we're going to talk about it as for what it is, an unreliable perception, an unreliable impression. But she looks to me like she doesn't give a fuck about anything but money. Just money. And I don't understand it because, you know, as I am growing older myself, I'm starting to become less and less and less attached to money, the thing. You know, some people want money as a mean for doing something, but other people relate to money the same way an addicted person relates to its substance. You want it because you want it. And, you know, I find it strange that as she's growing older, she looks like she's still attached to money for the sake of money. Because the opposite is happening to me, for example. The older I'm growing, the less and less I care about money. The only thing that I care about money is what they can buy for me. But money itself, you know, it used to be an allure when I was really, really young because, you know, when you are a kid or when you are a teenager, you never have money. You always want money, and you want it so much that you start to develop this thing of money, money, money. You know, it starts to become less about what you can do with money and just about just having it so that you have it when you need it, but just having it, you know. And as I grow older, this thing kind of weaned off of me, and I'm like, yes, of course I want money, but I want them because I want to do this and this and this and this, and you know, everything else is surplus. I might need it, I might not need it, but you know, I certainly don't crave it as if my life depended on it. But Rue really looks like she is this kind of person. You know, it's money for the sake of money, and if heads have two roles, to have money for the sake of money, then let heads rolls. Which, you know, well, you know the consequences of this train of thought, so I don't need to outline them for you. Oyuta says, Jocelyn is such a sweetie. She is. I mean, at least she was on the show. I don't know her in real life, but she looks like she is. Amateur season, RuPaul's Cash Race. How many sponsors can we get? Oh my god. Well, but what do you expect? This is just, you know, now that this thing has come to mind, I want you to suggest a queen to you. For all of you guys who are still listening and will probably take the time to actually listen to this queen. There is a queen that I follow that is not part of Drag Race or the Drag Race brand or has anything to do, as far as I know, with drag queens from Drag Race. And she's called Kimberly Clark. She came to, you know, I came to know her because she does a very peculiar show here on YouTube, which is, it's a show, it's an anti-consumeristic show. Okay, so I first noticed her because while everyone was doing videos of unboxing and hauling things and so on, she was doing videos called anti-haul, where she would try to understand the needs for people to buy and buy new things, and try to make them understand that you don't really need all of these things. You know, when you practically think about it, there are a very limited set of things that you need, and everything else is surplus. And why buy it? Why waste money on it? And then also having the hassle of having a huge amount of stuff in the house that you cannot, you go to a point where you don't even know what you have. You have so much that you cannot even sort it out anymore. It becomes an impediment, you know, and she had a whole show based on this. And I really, really appreciated it. She is such a breath of fresh air. So if you have nothing to do and you would like to check out this peculiar queen, it's really peculiar queen, then check her out. I don't think she will ever be on Drag Race. I don't think she will ever sold out for Drag Race. I think she looks to me like a person who doesn't have a crave for success, but has learned to be happy with what she has. And if she gets more, but there is no crave to have more at any cost. So I don't think she will ever be on Drag Race. But I appreciate her a lot. So if you have time, check her out. Amateur Season said, Kennedy beat Trixie in that lip sync. Yes, everybody saw that. But you know, they would have never have Kennedy won. Dixie, I agree, Amateur. Kennedy absolutely beat Trixie. Kaio Kamada, racism sells, I guess. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, it does. But you know, when you come to the bottom of it, it sells because it exists. It sells because people are racist and people are biased. That's why it works. It's not like Drag Race is doing some sort of indoctrination to racism. I think they do it because that sells, and that's it. You know? And people outside are racist, but not because they are evil people. You know, when you look into it and actually develop a dialogue with these kind of people, you know, at least the ones that are not mean-spirited, you understand that they're just ignorant. They just don't know things. They never experienced things. They were raised in a way, and that's how they are carrying on their life in the only way that they know. You know? And this kind of behavior, this kind of villainization of queens of color panders to these kind of people who simply don't know any better. And then in this vast majority, of course, there is the toxic minority who are actually the people who are showcased whenever people talk about racism, you know, the angry ones, the ones who are I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even have the fluency to start to describe it, but the only word that comes to mind is evil to me, and it's not an accurate description, but you know what I mean with it. Oluta said, being a Trixie fan, I 100% agree with the lip sync. Oh yeah, you know, we can all be fans and also retain our objectiveness. And it doesn't take away anything from the queens. It just makes them more human in a way. You know, they're not all perfect. They're human like us. And sometimes they fuck up. Amateur Season. I like both Trixie and Kennedy, but when I watch Drag Race, I try to be as unbiased as possible. That's a nice exercise, especially at your age. So keep at it, and you will grow up to be a bright woman. Kaio Kamada. Kennedy is the real lip sync assassin.com.org. Yeah, she murdered Trixie. She did it so well. But then again, some people said that she kind of looked like a backup dancer. And in a way, I kind of agree when you look at it that way. But you know, in order to be a backup dancer, you also have to have a front performer. And you know, Trixie was not feeling that song at all. It's not that, you know, she is not good at that, but it looked to me like she was kind of embarrassed to do that. And when you get to know Trixie outside of the race, it looks even more credible that she was kind of embarrassed to have to perform that song. Oluta said, I'm still mad about Ben de la Creme leaving. Well, it was her choice. And in a way, I think it was done for the better. I mean, she is not stupid. She did it for a reason. And we talked about it, and we talked about the vilification of fan favorites on All Stars. And Well, it was her decision, and I completely support it, and I understand it. And she doesn't need it, because think about it. I don't know if you you were not probably here for the streams that we did before, but you have to understand one thing. When you are paid anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 for a gig, and you have 2 or 3 gigs a week, or even one a week. And when you are paid with that amount of money, what is $100,000 to you? What is it? 5 months of hard work, 10 months of relaxed work? That's $100,000. But if you are portrayed as a villain on Drag Race, that will injure your careers for years and years and years. So, it doesn't look like it was a difficult decision for me. If in her best opinion she thought that her image was really on the line, then the best thing for her was exactly doing that, leaving. Kaio Kamada, oh, the fracking? Yes, the fracking. It's always about the fracking. Mrs. G, I'm back. What did I miss? I don't know, girl. Half of my brain is asleep already. I'm going to get to the end of the chat, then I'm going to end the stream because it's getting really, really late. Amateur season everything. Oluta, oh yes, she did one of the best no brand makeup videos. Oh, you're talking about Kimberly? Yes. Yes, she's a weird queen, but weird in a good way. And she's a ginger, so, eye candy. Kaio Kamada, oh, beach. Let's go to the beach. Oh, bitch, I love that. Definitely gonna go watch it. Oluta, previous entry is about Kimberly. John Young, I keep seeing Rue make subtle reference to drag in relation to children and families. Not only from his Netflix movie, but throughout season 12 and now All Stars. Do you think he has anything planned? Oh, John. You had to go there. You had to go there. So we're going to do this. Yes, we are going to do this. John, you have to understand one thing. When Drag Race started going mainstream, which is by the end of season 8, anyone doing market research couldn't have possibly missed the fact that the vast majority of the new fans were people who were significantly younger than the older guard of the Drag Race fandom. What do I mean by significantly younger? Well, very young. Very young. I would say an average of anywhere between 14 and 16, as an average. Many of the people who watch Drag Race today, they will tell you that they got to know Drag Race when they were really, really young. So, and you might ask yourself, why such a weird show? Why such a weird, in a way, sexualized show should try to appeal to such younger viewers? And my argument to that, before I get into anything specific, is the fact that whenever you have a business, you always want to get your customers as young as possible. It's a business rule of thumb. Unless, of course, you're doing a kind of business that it's not suitable for younger viewers or for younger customers. Why do you want them young? Well, because when they're young, they will just spend without thinking. And most of all, they will not spend their money, they will spend their parents' money. And kids today are not the kids of the 50s. Kids today are spoiled. That's what I was raised to do, for example, and I'm old. Think about, kids today have much more money than they used to have. They are big spenders. They became a huge market. So, of course, you want to appeal to this kind of customers because they're young, they're stupid, they are impulsive, they don't know things, they are inexperienced, they are the perfect customer. Because don't forget, when no matter the kind of business you're in, stupid is always the perfect customer. The customer that you don't want whenever you have any kind of business is the smart one, the one that's going to complain, the one who is going to know his rights, the one who is going to think before he spends his money. That's the customer that you don't want. So you understand, one of the rule of thumb of business itself is to get your customers as young as you can possibly have. And once you have them that young, then you can also start to do something else, which is ensuring loyalty. Instill your brand in the young customer so that he will become a recurrent spender throughout the lifetime. You were shown Disney movies when you were a kid. I was shown Disney movies when I was a kid. If one day I will have a kid, they will watch Disney movies. Do you think that happens by chance? Well, it doesn't. Of course, I will have to agree with all of you saying that the Disney example is an extreme one. It is. But this kind of behavior is not an all of nothing kind of behavior. It's a continuum, which means that, okay, it's not the extreme example of Disney, but it's going to score somewhere in between. And when you talk about big numbers, anywhere in between is still profit, still valuable profit. So now that you understand the basic concept, that no matter the kind of business, it's good to have stupid customers. It's good to have inexperienced customers. It's good to have young customers, and it's good to raise your customers to be loyal with you throughout the years. Then you start to understand why Drag Race is actually trying, in my opinion, to appeal to younger viewers. Not only because they're there, but because it's smart from a business perspective. And so we have witnessed the progressive transformation of the Drag Race brand for something that used to be smart and used to be provocative and, yes, even sexualized, to something that is completely neutered and tries to appeal as much as possible to younger viewers. Do you remember in season 11, or maybe it was All Stars 4, I cannot recall at the moment, but inside Drag Race, we started getting commercial for drag cons. And who was featured in those commercials? Women and kids. Because if you look at the fandom from the big numbers, you will see that a vast majority is made of women and kids. When this show came out, I'm talking season 1, season 2, season 3. Who was the fandom? It was queer people in their mid-20s. 90% of it. If I look at the viewers of my channel, and this is just my channel, this is already biased. I am a man, so I tend to appeal more to men. That's just how social thing works. We tend to appeal to what's similar to us. So, of course, it's a tendency. But even for my channel, what I see is that the viewers are split in the middle. 50% male, 50% female. You start to see where I'm going. So yes, it's not happening by chance. It's not happening by chance. I know it's hard to hear, but, it's still business. So, of course, you start seeing things like the talk to yourself as a kid thing. And, that thing started in season 7 with Pearl. We talked about it, we speculated about it, as far as it was decent to speculate about it. We came to the simple conclusion that production could have not known that something happened to Pearl. And we speculated that segment was created especially for that, because it never existed before. And probably Pearl represented the perfect situation, the perfect storm. So they brought it out as a kind of emotional porn. And then, once the show went mainstream, it transformed to something that could be used as emotional porn, to something that can be used to appeal to a younger audience. And, I'm really proud of the fact that I made a post months ago wishing for that segment not to happen in season 12 and wishing for the show to just say to the queens, talk to your younger viewers. Talk to the younger viewers. This is a segment that's done for the benefit of younger viewers. This is not about you. This is not about emotional porn anymore. This is not about your trauma. This is about appealing to younger viewers. And by the time the finale of season 12 aired, RuPaul said in her own words, talk to your younger viewers, to these queens. So, I'm proud of having spotted that kind of change happening in that kind of segment. So yes, it's not subtle reference. It's things that are there, and they are all there for a reason. And I don't think they're even coming out straight from RuPaul herself. These are things that come out from the marketing department. The ones that actually do marketing research and try to understand who the fandom is, how to appeal them, and they come out with things like, this is my speculation, of course, but they come out saying, oh, wait, in the past year, a lot of the new viewers are in the age of 14 plus or minus 2 years. Good, then we need to appeal more to them. Things like this. These are things that come from the marketing department. And believe it or not, the vast majority of the decisions that are made behind the scenes are even directly or indirectly influenced by whatever comes out of the marketing department. Because they're the one predicting which kind of money you're going to make and where. So, I don't know if I spoke enough for it, but I think it's been a good 15 minutes. I hope that answers your question. Dixie, to be honest, I had become bored with the Ben de la Creme show. Where else was it going to go? Well, in a way, yes. It shook things up a little bit. Amateur season All-Stars 3 was an absolute mess. I would argue that every All-Stars after All-Stars 2 was an absolute mess. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Kyle Kamada, I loved Dela leaving because it's a huge fuck you to Rue and the producers. Also, she did it for her mental health, so all power to her. Completely agree. She also did it, from my perspective, as a business decision because, Ben is not stupid. If the reading challenge and how smart and unique and tailored to the queens her reading were, if it's any indicator, she also did it from a business perspective. I never I never talk about the reads, what makes a good read, and the creative behind. I never talked about it, I think. But maybe we should talk about it, because it tells a lot about how smart the queens actually are. Kyle Kamada retracted a message saying, I don't know English, sorry. Don't worry, we know. Amateur season. Anyone remember Phoenix from season 3? Yeah, he was the hot guy out of drag. Oyuta. At Kayo. Sister, English is my third language. I don't even know what I write that late. Kinda remember Phoenix, and she blended in the background somehow. Well, she did that Lady Gaga lip sync when she had that terrible dress during the challenge for the queens from outer space. She had that terrible dress connected at the bottom of the legs, made the lip sync a mess. She should have cut it out. Kayo Kamada. Oyuta, I just started having strokes at a certain point. To other stream, I was just a mess. Well, we all are. It's getting late, Even for you to listen for 4 hours. We are at the end of the 4th hour. So yeah, I mean, it's normal. It's normal, especially if you're not a native English. Amateur season. I just like looking at the early season, early out queens. Oluta said, I still follow Nicole Page Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, Nicole. That's someone that I would like to see again, you know? Because, you know, she, in a way, she's going to be a mess, but she's going to be a classy mess. And that's what I like about her. She is classy. Amateur season. I follow every Drag Race queen. That's a lot of free time. Kayo Kamada, the show is done for the girls and the gays only. Maybe not even for the gays anymore. Yeah. Remember when they used to sexualize the pit crew and play the keyboard with their packages? Yes, me neither. Julie Nguyen. Oh my god, I've caught you while you're still live. I usually watch later, but hello, thank you for the stream. Thank you for coming, Julie. Too bad you caught me in a moment where I'm basically done. I'm basically done. You know, I never listen back to my own streams because I don't want to get any second embarrassment. Because I know that the moment I pass the second hour mark, I'm completely trashing out. You know, I'm probably not able to speak so fast anymore, so I become slower. I start losing words. I start forgetting names. But you know, these are the perks of streaming at this kind of hour. You know, today I was thinking, what's going to happen if I would ever stream, you know, in the late morning, on a free day in the late morning, when I am, you know, completely there, completely awake. How is it going to look? Would I even be recognizable? Would I still have my sexy accent, or would I be able to simulate the English sounds better? Who knows? Dixie, I think everything that Pendela did, even coming on the show, was part of a well thought out business decision. She refused to come on, and all of a sudden she was there. A very wise queen. Yes, that sounds very plausible to me. And it takes nothing away from the character at all. Because after all, this is how they pay their bills. And this is not just how you pay your bills, it's how you pay your rent and how you pay for your food. So if you're business savvy, then good for you. Oluta, I remember Nicole Red of Raven. She's very beige to me, that's all. Amateur season, what's your favorite All-Stars? Well, if you're asking me, it's going to be Tatiana. It's always going to be Tatiana. Julie, late night talks are always the most intimate and interesting. It's lovely to interact with you finally. Well, you are being too nice. Come on, you're making me blush. There's not much interaction going on anymore. I mean, I'm arrived. I'm basically arrived. So, Julie, since you just joined, if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer it. But after that, I'm basically taking out the stream. When I'm hitting the 4th hour, that's how far I'm going to go. John Young, Julie, yes. Tell all my friends about this stream. So smart and on point. Thank you. Thank you for the free publicity as well. That's really nice. Since YouTube is not being very helpful lately. But yes, it's really nice. That's how things are going to go out, you know. Even from a longevity perspective. There is a difference between the kind of viewers that you get because your videos are suggested by YouTube, and between the kind of viewers that you get because they come through word of mouth or because they actually look you up. There is a total difference. And the YouTube algorithm knows that. So I appreciate word of mouth a lot, actually. Kaio Kamada. No read will ever be better than Tyra. Was your barbecue cancelled? Your grill is fucked up. What a moment in time. It was legendary. It was legendary. It's just it was so brutal. It was so sudden, so brutal, so quick. I appreciated a lot of Ben de la Crème's reads, for example, from All Stars. The way she read Trixie, for example, the painting for the back of the room. But it was kind of a build-up. Well, Juju was just brutal. She was just brutal. She was just brutal. How much a season? Good night, everyone. We're pretty much at the end of the stream. Yeah, we are. Julie, you've done enough. I will rewatch later. Good night. Corelio, did you watch next week preview? It made me worried for Shay. No, if I can, I don't watch previews. I try to go in the show as blank as I possibly can. Kaio Kamada, the signature sexy accent. Guys. Okay. We reached the end of it. I'm going to have a little bit of vape, eat a little bit of something, and then go to bed. So I'll see you guys back next Sunday. And I think there is a very good chance that I will have the first GG video out this week. With that said, I will not make promise because, I have a past of not ever being able to hold on to those. So I'll try my best to get it out this week, and I think there is a very good chance that it will come out this week. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming every Sunday. And if you will, I will see you back next Sunday. So have a good night or a good night, everybody, and see you soon.